have like a special kind of creep, like a white knight type of creep as well.
And we're live. Wait, why am I hearing an echo? Bear with me. There we go.
Jesus, I'm trying to tweet out that we're live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. My name is Brian the Pirate, and I am, of course, joined by the very panicky
Pulp Fiction, like, hey, what's up?
There we go.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Peach that is Peachy. Say hello, Peachy.
Peachy, you okay? You changed it up, and I was not ready for that.
I know. Revenge, bitch. For all those times.
What?
Every intro, you're like, quick, let's fuck with Brian. And it's like, no, I will fuck with you. It is I who fucks today.
I feel like that's written into the format.
That was fair. I wasn't ready.
Probably. Yes, welcome,
okay,
everyone.
I made a tweet.
You made a tweet. Fantastic. Everyone go retweet Pope's tweet because we forgot to write one. And it's,
I just said we're live.
Don't be
everyone around the world
creepy.
knows that we are
Don't be
live.
creepy.
But don't be creepy, no.
Actually, be extra creepy just for Peachy. Just be creepy towards him, though.
Yes, specifically towards Peachy.
Mm-hmm.
Monka TOS.
I don't know if I'm down with this.
Yes, welcome
When
everyone.
people are creepy on purpose, that's amusing. But when people are trying to be very uncreepy and end up going like all the way around into creepy again, that's the worst. That's like serial killer shit.
Yeah, where they're like, oh, hi, how you doing? Oh, yeah, I'm great. Cool. And you have a perfectly ordinary conversation, and then they're like, so can I have some feet pics? And you're like, what? Where did that come from?
I think one of my favorites was somebody who answered himself. Like, he reached out to me. I didn't answer because I have to, like, I could screen all my IG DMs.
Yeah.
This was a long time ago, by the way. And I saw this guy like responded again. He was like, hey, how are you? And then just follows up like maybe a day or two later. I'm good. It's like, no, that was not me who said that.
It's like you're trying to prompt the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping he would keep going. That would have been nice.
That would have been
Just have a conversation with himself. You don't even need to be there. Don't forget to subscribe.
Like,
you carry on with yourself.
I purposely do not check my requested messages, both on Twitter and Instagram, because it is full of weirdos. Like, I had one on Discord. It was a while back now. But
my
they were like,
Twitter is set to I have to follow you back. So you can't even send requests. And then, yeah.
That's not going to last long, though, is it?
They probably not. I don't know.
Probably not. Along with the blocking thing. But yeah, I think the weirdest one I've ever had was on Discord, where someone was like, British, hot. Oh, how can I not have a wank? And I'm like, that's a interesting opening message.
Okay, but maybe do it to yourself.
I was literally just having a conversation with my fiance earlier about like that whole where like anybody, like no one ever wants to hear that. No, not a single soul wants to hear that phrase like that.
Keep it to yourself. You crack on.
No, it's not a compliment. It is always creepy.
Yeah,
crack on. I don't need to know that.
Yeah,
hit that subscribe button though. Come on,
yeah,
bro.
Like,
what your extracurricular activities are none of they're not my business.
To be fair, and I've joked about this on stream before because I was talking to a friend about it because she had like her knees in the shot, and I was like, you know, it starts with your knees, but then people are going to be like, your knees are connected to a shin, but it's connected to a foot, and then that's when the feet pic messages come through. And then I was like, you know what? If a dude came up to me and was like, Brian, can I have a picture of your feet? I'd be like, yeah, $500. Here you go. Thanks. I'm going to buy a PlayStation 5 kind of thing. Like, I would be super stoked with it and just go with it. Like, I would totally be down.
Because that would never happen.
Yeah, but if it did, I would be down. It's a very
small avenue of I want feet publicly asking for feet pics. There is a very small, there's a line of
I just wonder what they
single
look
file.
For. Because feet don't do anything for me. I worked in shoes for like I had worked in 2 different shoe stores.
I like shoes, like sexy
I like
shoes. Boom.
I just don't really, but I don't like feet, so I never really understood the appeal personally. Yeah, I mean, no hate.
Like if you've got ugly feet, I'll be like, that's a turn off. But if you've got
my brother had some nasty feet when he was a kid.
I say in
I think that's where my mental association of like hating feet was. My brother had really nasty feet growing up. Yeah. Like he always wore the same pair of boots constantly, and his feet were like calloused to shit. And it's like, oh,
nasty foot.
Yeah,
nasty foot. No big foot, nasty foot.
Yeah, like if you've got like inverted commas nice feet, I'm like, cool, your feet aren't repulsive kind of thing. That's as far as it goes to me. You either it's either a turn off or you don't turn me off kind of thing. So yeah,
just had a nice pedicure. You had your calluses scraped off.
What if the rest of it was a 10 but the feet were a 2.
It would still distract me. I'd be like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with your feet? Kind of
I
thing.
mean, I think
I'm
it's
not
like,
that bothered.
if the rest of it is a 10, the rest of it, God, the rest is
It's fine. Just keep your
Get
socks on.
objectified. It's a person that doesn't exist.
the rest is a 10, and the feet are like what, a 2. I'd have an issue because that shows personal hygiene.
True.
That's
true.
a hygiene.
No, they haven't got dirty feet. They just got ugly feet.
Well, what constitutes as ugly feet?
Keep your socks on. That solves it. Just double bag them.
Ugly. I don't know what constitutes.
I don't know what's a good foot or a bad foot.
I'm out of my depth here.
Bunions. If they're covered in bunions, there you go. It just looks like a cabbage instead of a foot.
But,
I've had my fill
but
of
maybe
feet
they
from
work
working in
on their
stores,
feet
man.
a lot. Maybe they're like an athlete. The rest of an
Well, then
athlete is like a fucking
maybe-
10. They're fucking.
Maybe
you know?
I'll just find another athlete who doesn't have ugly feet.
Well, good luck, because I checked them all.
You should say.
Now, welcome to the gaming and nerd show talk
And not put
thing that we
the
do.
footcast.
The podcast.
The foot cast.
So a lot has happened since we last aired. So we're gonna go back a little
This
bit
time
in
was my
time.
fault, guys.
No, it happens. It happens. But yes, we're gonna go a little bit back in time to Gamescom. We'll probably go through it relatively quickly. There was a lot of things that were covered. Did you guys watch it, by the way? Gamescom?
No, I missed it.
Yes.
Cool.
I'm
What did you
looking at
think of it as a whole?
As a whole, I mean,
Yeah,
it was
like as
kind
a
of meh.
show.
Yeah, it was kind of meh.
Do you not think Jeff managed expectations quite well at the beginning?
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, but that's why it was like meh, but I wasn't expecting it to be. Maybe that's because of that.
Hmm.
That's fair. So for those who don't know, immediately Jeff Keighley, Papa Jeff, when the show opened, he was like, "We've got lots of updates on games. Don't expect a lot of like world premieres or anything like that." Right off the bat, and then some clown ended up rushing the stage and trying to talk about Bill Clinton into the mic again. They
Was
weren't.
it the
Wait,
same dude
again?
as Elders?
No, it was a different guy, but he tried
Elden.
saying some of the same things, and it was just like, you're not even being an original like prankster in this instance. And he was escorted relatively quickly. It did take a while for the 8 burly men to get on the stage, and Jeff himself handled it pretty well. He just kept walking away from the guy like, yeah, fuck off, kind of thing, and then just gave
Yeah,
him a
no
bit of
one's
a
really
lambasting
original, are
afterwards.
they? Was it the same
Yeah.
kid?
No, it was a
You
different
know,
kid.
nobody's
Different kid.
really original, are they?
No, no one's really original.
That was a very funny joke.
Bill
Okay.
Clinton, get something new.
Yeah. But they did cover a lot of things that caught my eye, I suppose. I was particularly interested in the Crimson Desert footage, especially as it's been very silent for about a year or so. And then prior to that, they were like, it's going to be an MMO. And then they let out little trickles of information in tweets and whatnot. And they were like, oh, no, it's actually just going to be a single player, but with co-op. So, but the game itself looked pretty crazy. Were there any particular announcements that you guys have heard of, either from Gamescom or while you were watching it?
Only one, really. The new Mud Runners game. It's a
All right, yeah.
spin-off, which I think is probably where they're going to take the series. Expeditions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it.
And as long as, like the last one was, hopefully it's not an Epic exclusive. I own it on Epic because that's where it was and I really wanted to play it, but I've never played it since because it's on fucking Epic. It's not even up to date on my PC and it hasn't been for years.
Was SnowRunner an Epic exclusive?
Yes.
It was.
Well,
Oh, okay.
for the first year or whatever.
Right,
It's on Steam now.
That's fair. They'll probably do something similar then, I imagine. Or if
I
they
hope not.
if they saw that it didn't have any benefit potentially, they may just go straight to a multi-platform. Hopefully so. Fingers crossed. Exclusives suck at the end of the day. For that reason.
On PC they do.
Very much so. Very much on a PC. Right, let's have a ganders at some of the stuff that came up. Let's bring up the showcase screen. So there was Black Wukong is another one that I've been keeping an eye out for quite some time, and it looks beautiful. It's a game being made by a Chinese studio, Black Myth Wukong, and it's kind of like a Souls-like-ish. If anything, it's probably closer to maybe like a God of War style game. It's over the shoulder, third person action combat, and it's a very third action. Yeah, it's a very, 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 very pretty game. The details like footprints in the snow and how the snow reacts to attacks and stuff, and it will pile up. and it doesn't like fade out like in a lot of other games. Like you leave a track, but it will eventually just disappear, and you keep making new ones. Like what you do in the environment sticks in the environment. So that's one that I'm very much looking forward to. But at the same time, we've seen so much about it over the last, what, 2-3 years. It's like, is this ever coming out at the same time? If you know what I mean? It's almost skull and bonesing it in some ways. But hopefully, when it does come out, it will do really well, which I hope it does.
It did look cool. I like well, it's a spin on your classic Souls, right?
Yeah, for sure. Plus, like the character is very much based on Sun Wukong, so he's got like multiple transformations as well as attacks and stuff like that, so he can shapeshift and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff to do mechanically within the game and with like your potential builds and whatnot. Another announcement that was quite big for those who are into the game, Little Nightmares 3.
The Little Nightmares 3 one? Yeah.
My girlfriend is so hyped for this.
Yeah, it's got a
looks
big
really
following. Good. Yeah, I'm not a horror game player, but I have watched people play Little Nightmares, and it is one that I particularly enjoy watching. So it's probably something where I'm like, "Ooh, it's out! Who's playing it? Quick and look!" And then just no
this
life
one's
that
co-op,
stream.
right?
Yeah, it's co-op.
Yes.
That's what I was kind of stoked on. I have the first two. I have yet to play. I'm actually saving them for Halloween. And I was actually that's what actually interested me the most was the co-op, because in the second one, to my understanding, is there's 2 protagonists, they follow each other.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to introduce co-op. It naturally next step.
Yeah, so this one's going to be very similar. You can still play it solo if you want, and you just have like this AI companion. But otherwise, someone can just drop in and play as the second model, the second character. Which
Probably
is
see
pretty
if
cool.
I can do a co-op stream of that.
That'll be
I know
fun.
she loves it, and I like the vibe of it. It's not really my game, but I do like. It's quite dark.
Yeah,
I like that kind of shit.
I think it's a very visually interesting horror game.
Yeah, I love how like all the adults look so melted and gross.
Yeah, and that's like, oh, you're
wonderful
a big
aesthetic.
giant baby, or your face is all fucked up in this weird like Picasso way kind of thing. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I love it.
It looks good.
I'm looking forward to trying the first 2. So what was the release date for the third one announced, or not? It was just a trailer
I
release.
believe it was just a teaser announcement, so no
Got
date.
it. Okay.
Did you think of anything of Crimson Desert, Peachy, from what you saw?
Isn't it the next Black Desert?
No, so that's the thing. It's made by the folks who make Black Desert Online.
Oh, okay.
And when they announced this, they did announce it as an MMO. So people were thinking, oh, it's Black Desert, but with like an Eastern European vibe. In earlier trailers, they showed you like riding and mounting dragons and stuff like that, as well as fighting them. The
But
combat...
you're telling me it isn't an MMO, because I immediately dismissed it.
Yeah, it's not an MMO. It was going to be an MMO when they announced it years ago, but since then it's now just a single player with co-op. And it's got a lot of like Zelda vibes, if anything, like the newer Zeldas, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Not so much with like constructing stuff, but that kind of like open world. You can fall from the sky, and there's islands in the sky as well. I don't think they took that from Zelda before anyone jumps in, because they've been like working on this for years, obviously. But yeah, it's
interested again. Then
it's
single
got
player. My ears are like, oh, hello.
Yeah, like it's got I think in some ways, because it started off as an MMO, that might actually benefit it, because obviously you've got this open world, but the open world's going to be filled with stuff. There's so many different mechanics. There's the fighting and stuff like that. I think there's housing and stuff as well. Like it's going to be a big RPG for sure. But yeah, single player MMO with co-op if you so wish. I think the end game stuff, they do probably focus a little bit more on the co-op, because obviously that's going to add to the longevity of the game. Multiplayer tends to do, better than single player for longevity. But yes, it's one that looks really good. If you like the art style in Black Desert, and even the combat, it's quite actiony combat. So it's almost like a fighting game in Black Desert. But you want it a bit more slowed down and a bit more medieval, then Crimson Desert is going to be the game for you. Moving on, there was Killing Floor 3. That was a surprise announcement. I've never...
That looked cool. It's like super futuristic.
Yeah, so I've never played the Killing Floor games myself, but I know people who have, and they're very much fans of it. I don't think I know anyone who doesn't like Killing Floor. Everyone who's like, yeah, it's more Killing Floor. This is what we want. Just more of this. So if that is more of what you want, you know, it's something to look forward to. Are you a Killing Floor fan, Paul?
I know of it. I never played them.
Fair. That's
I played
fair.
the first one. It was kind of shit. I think they must have had a beta or an open weekend or something. And yeah, it was. It existed, and it wasn't a bad game.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me. Do you know what I
that's
mean?
fair. Yeah, the people that I know that like it, they're into that type of game specifically,
Yeah.
where it's just
Yeah,
like mindless
it's
kill
a
all the things.
franchise. It's the kind of game that didn't really appeal to me. So I know of it. So great. That's great for everyone who is a fan of it.
Rebel Moon was announced. I was kind of interested in this. So Rebel Moon, Pulp, is Zack Snyder's new IP, where he's going to do 2 movies next year.
Oh, Zack Snyder, really?
Yeah. So Zack Snyder's doing 2 movies for this new IP, and then there's going to be like a big follow-up game. Now, the movie industry has done similar things, or rather like the TV industry, for lack of a better phrase. They did it with another game where they did like an MMO that came out after a television series. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a sci-fi thing. The game didn't really do that great, to be fair.
You tell me there's a movie game that didn't do very well?
Yeah, who knew? But like
Oh.
it directly correlated to like this television series. If maybe someone in the chat will remember what it's called, but yeah, it had a name. Then they rebooted the game with a slightly different name, and it just didn't do
Well,
very
everyone
well.
knows that video games are top tier. They
Yes.
always are.
Always Super Mario
There's
Bros.
never-
There's like
never
a
cash grab.
handful. There's a handful of those crossovers that are like Butcher Bay is fucking phenomenal, but it wasn't written as, oh, we're going to make the game of the movie. They were like, we're going to make a game. Oh, we got this license.
The only one that I can hear, or that comes to mind that did better than the movie was Chronicles of Riddick back in the day.
Sure.
That
I
was a long
mean,
time
I didn't play it. I did enjoy the
I didn't
movies,
play
though.
it.
I do
I-
wish
That's
there was.
just
Bay.
one of those, like, it was a story that I remember hearing about. A lot of
Do
people.
you mean the Butcher Bay one? Because I didn't know there was another game. That's the name of the game.
I do think there
I
is
don't know.
2.
Oh, okay.
Games.
Well, Butcher Bay is fucking phenomenal, and
Yeah.
it's worth playing
Never
by
heard of it.
itself.
Hopefully they do another Chronicles Critic movie. I know, what's his name? Family Guy has been like, yeah, I really want to do it. I forgot his name. Vin Diesel.
That's what he's been reduced to now.
I'm losing my voice.
You
Forgive
just
me.
sounded in pain when you said Family Guy.
I'm losing my voice. That's why. But
I
yeah.
got this, Brian. It's exactly how he says it. What?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, Vin Diesel has said that he wants to do another Riddick game. I think he wants to do more Riddick movies, but just no one wants to pay him to do it. So
Yeah, well, they did.
Yeah.
They went, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
unfortunately.
the first one did so well.
Yeah.
The first one came out of nowhere. It was a nothing, and it just became this cult classic that like, everyone has seen.
Have you
It's
seen
like, oh, yeah. And then they went, oh, we're going to, yeah, show that character. We're making this, though. And so everyone's like, no,
Yeah.
remember the first one? We liked that.
Yeah.
They're
It
okay.
was
as
kind of
dumb
weird.
movies.
Yeah, Pitch Black. I enjoyed Pitch Black very much back in the
Pitch Black
day.
is very good.
Rebel Moon.
It's super budget, so it's actually got this sort of
So Rebel
vibe
Moon.
about it.
Yeah, no, that's
Sorry.
true. Sorry, say again, Paul.
No, so Rebel Moon. Go on.
Rebel Moon, yeah. So Rebel Moon, from what I saw of the trailer, actually looks like it could be a really interesting world. I feel like
Okay.
you would probably want it to be a series rather than 2 movies, though, just to really tell a story, because there's a lot of characters in it from what we saw. Like, it's kind of like in Dune, where it's like, here's an important character, here's an important character, here's 20 other important characters.
Yeah, but Dune is 3
Yeah, Dune's
hours
a book.
long. It can
It's also a
incorporate
book
that.
series.
Yeah.
So-
But are we going to be looking at 3-hour movies for the Rebel Moon movies? Who knows?
I
Probably.
hope not.
Possibly.
It's his movie, right? He's
Yeah.
probably written it. He's directing it. He's like, it's his child. It's gonna be 75 hours long.
Hopefully so. It looks interesting either way. I thought it did. Did
You
you
know
think
how hard it is me to sit down and move it, press play, and then I see the runtime is like 2.5 hours. And I'm like, fuck off.
Really? I'm never that bothered by movie length. Like,
If you can't tell me your story, I do really like doing I like a lot of long movies, but if you can't tell me your shitty little story, because they're usually shitty little stories, in an hour and a half, I have
2 hours.
no faith.
I'm okay with 2 hours, but what was it? The Justice League movie I had to sit through.
the Zack Snyder cut.
He's nodding because he loved it, but I was just
Oh,
like, oh my god,
the Zack
it's so long.
Snyder cut.
Yes,
It's gonna
the
be a
Zack Snyder
3-hour
cut.
movie, dude.
I mean, I also am not a big superhero
Defiance
movie
was
buff.
the name of the show / game. I'm being
Yes,
told.
it was Defiance. Thank you,
But
Sarah Fit.
The movie was good, but very long, very long and drawn out.
Yeah, that's fair. They,
Same with the Lord of the Rings.
They also did an announcement for Tekken. I believe they just showed a whole lot of gameplay and
Oh,
announced a
yeah.
couple of extra characters.
I
Fighting
really
games.
hope
A lot
Tekken
of
gets harder.
Is it just me? There are a lot of fighting games coming out recently.
Oh yeah, fighting gamers are eating good. They've got like some really big, huge announcements coming up. They all look really good as well. The games.
Yeah, no, it does. Like I think the last Tekken I played was Tekken 2 back in the day.
Yeah,
so,
Tekken 3 for me. Used to play it on PlayStation all the time.
Yeah, PlayStation.
Tekken
Was that the one with the? That was the one with King, right? With the cheetah.
King's in a bunch
head.
of them.
Yeah, so
damn it.
I think it was when they first introduced Angel and Demon, potentially.
That 2. That must have been 2. Do they have Ogre in there as well?
I think, yeah, Ogre was in one of them, either 2 or 3 or both. But yeah, Ogre.
I've played most Tekkens. I actually really enjoy Tekken's combat, the left and right. I think it's really cool.
Well,
but Tekken 7 did not hit very hard. Like, it was good. I enjoyed my time with it, and people enjoyed it, but it did, like, Street Fighter fucking comes out swinging.
Yeah.
Pun not intended. But Tekken 7 was like, hey, it's a good game,
Tekken.
but it didn't
was
come out.
overshadowed.
Hopefully 8 can. Yeah,
well,
but with all the fighting games we got coming out,
it feels like all the big ones are like there's the big like franchises are coming out with new games, and they all look great. What's next? Soul Calibur?
Riot's making one, aren't they? A fighting game.
yes, they are.
Who is
Riot.
Riot? Really?
And Valorant guys.
Project L, I believe it's.
There's a lot of characters in that, so I can imagine that.
Let's hope they don't fucking take an L.
From what we've seen,
Devil was 2, Ogre was 3. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah. So from what we've seen of Tekken, because there was like a closed beta or something on PlayStation, that was really well received. People are enjoying the combat. In terms of fighting games altogether, you've got to bear in mind because the fighting game market is quite small technically. The fact that they're getting all of these games, they've all kind of in some ways been a long time coming. So
yeah,
there are a lot of games coming out, which is a lot for them to play, but that will probably last them for quite some time as well, especially as they're all kind of adopting live service models.
Fighting game fans, they do tend to stick with the game for a long time. I mean, that's why they're so good.
No, 100%.
Also, you got to think, because the market is so small for like ardent like 1v1 fighting game people, it's like what's the layman gonna go for? Street Fighter.
Yeah, and
that's
Mortal
what they're gonna
Kombat.
go for.
Street Fighter.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat, because there's a bit more gamifiedness with all the fucking ridiculous stuff that goes on there. I'm not sure how Mortal Kombat is like keeps up with the combat for like Evo and stuff like that.
Well, for 8, they've introduced like a tag team thing, so you select your main fighter and then someone who hides off screen.
Yeah.
Incorporate them. Yeah.
Honest to God, I've been having a really hard time keeping up with how many Mortal Kombat games there are.
Many.
I think they are too. That's where we're like, start again, Mortal Kombat 1. But I already played that. No,
there was like, I think they even confused themselves because it was like there was not was it 9? There was X and then XL. I'm like, pardon?
Right, yeah, with the DLCs.
And then they went back to one. It's like, no, please don't do that.
I thought the marketing was really cool. Because when they did like
for one,
so they did like a counter and it was a clock and it was pointing like at 11 and it looks like it's about to go to midnight, but it goes straight past it to 2-1, and that was like the teaser announcement. So people are like, oh, is it a reboot? Or
it's all based around time as well.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool marketing.
That is pretty cool marketing. I like it. I dig it.
Yeah, I mean, they've been slamming it with the marketing as well. They're like, here's another character, and you watch it and you're like, fuck, that's a good video kind of thing, even if it's just about this one character you don't know that well.
Is one out yet? I don't keep up with fighting. Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, because I've been seeing the announcements, and every once in a while, I think the last one I saw was the Homelander and the lot, and because I oddly get emails about it, of all things.
Yeah, no,
and I was like, oh, is this DLC for the boys?
Yeah, they've been announcing like individual characters.
And stupid.
No, not at all. I mean, they have been just throwing videos out there, but each one's been doing so well, so I don't blame them.
My takeaway was it was DLC, and I'm like, oh, it's out? Unless I'm missing something, and clearly I was missing something.
Yeah, it's just because they were just announcing the characters as the build-up to the release, which I believe is October, I want to say.
I feel that's appropriate for Mortal Kombat to come out in October.
Yeah, it fits.
It really does.
Age of Empires 4. I used to play it back in the day.
I love Age of Empires 2 when I was a kid. That was my shit.
coming out on Xbox? That's cool.
Yeah, and it'll be available on Game Pass. So if you're a Game Pass enjoyer,
excellent.
yep, it's out there for you.
I didn't play 3, but I'm kind of stoked to play it again.
Yeah, it'll be one of those fun things. You're like, oh, nostalgia, and you
Yeah.
probably play it for a
Just
week,
like your
and then you're like,
personal
okay, I'm
game.
done. Yeah, 100%. They
I'm not
showed
buying it.
off some Assassin's Creed Mirage. Yeah, pretty much. Like, I wasn't bothered, but I'm glad that people who are OG Assassin's Creed fans are getting something that's a bit more appealing to them.
Yeah, I'm
it
happy
looked
for
like
them.
the next one. I'm going to be honest. It didn't look like they changed and went back. It just looked like the next one.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, it seems like that's what the fans have wanted, is to go back to its roots. So I'm actually very happy for them.
Yeah,
But
Not
if
for
you
me.
look at that trailer, it looks like a modern one. It doesn't look like the old school.
it depends, I suppose, what you mean by looks like. Like, mechanically, a lot of the mechanics...
You're a murder god that can kill everyone that gets near you.
Yeah, but I think because the general reception that I've been reading from like the fan community has been, oh cool, we can like sit on benches and actually be stealthy and stuff properly now, and like stab people with our wrist shooty thing. Whereas obviously in the current games, it's I'm a Viking who just wails on everything kind of thing. Like it's bringing back and going back to the stealth stuff, which is what people have been missing.
I don't keep up with Assassin's Creed personally. It's just not. I think I got like Origins for free one time, and I just never played it because I just frankly I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
And with every new release that's been coming up until now, it's like, are you still an assassin?
Yeah.
It's that they had that overarching story, and because I only played up to Brotherhood personally. I think I have. I think I was given Black Flag, but I never played it. I have a thing about naval battles. Don't like them.
I think it was Odyssey I played, and it's like an RPG light, and it was kind of fun, but it didn't feel anything like an assassin.
Every new entry didn't feel like like you were an assassin anymore. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, you're a pirate. Oh, that's not an assassin. There's no Were there assassin pirates?
It was Odyssey where it went into the like newer format where it became open world. I believe that was when it was in Egypt, and it became more action game.
Ubisoft really loves their open world games. My God.
Yeah, so like with Mirage, they're going a lot more stealth rather than like the action combat, and I believe they're making the world smaller and denser as opposed to here's a billion filler quests.
Very pleased to hear that.
Yeah, so it's been being received well.
I don't like this artwork.
What, for Nightingale?
Yeah, no, for Assassin's Creed Mirage.
The dude,
I can't even say it.
Holding his thing.
I can't even say it. I say Assassins.
He looks so clean and perfect.
I mean,
there's something wrong about it.
He is clean and perfect.
Maybe he just had.
He's an assassin.
He is an assassin. He's clean and perfect.
Soap. What's your issue?
Does he own soap?
He owns
soap. Is he a soap maker?
I like the background. The background is nice, but whoever this dude is,
brown background.
He's very white as well. With that background, that's a bit white to have that background behind him, isn't it?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Maybe.
You know, he was Prince of Persia.
Or it's
that same difference.
Either Jake or Scarlett Johansson.
He looks like a Greg.
He could be a Greg. He could be a Greg.
Greg Kinnear.
Another thing they gave us an update on. I would play
that Assassin's Creed if it was Greg Kinnear.
That would be the best. That would be the best.
Brian's desperately trying to get onto Nightingale. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, well, I'm not desperate. But no.
I'm ruining everything.
This is a game I have mentioned before, though. This is the like survival builder where I was trying to remember what like they describe it as, and I think I said lamp punk, and you both started laughing at me. But this is the actual game. So you go through portals to different like sandboxed worlds.
Is that Lucy Liu?
I don't believe it is now. I think it's just the stylizing of the character.
It's not her anymore.
It's not anymore. It's got.
Lucy Liu does not own her face anymore.
She does not. It has been sold to AI. But
yes.
But yeah, so you've got like a whimsical mythical element. There's like weird funky monsters. You go to different dimensions, of course. And it has like this not quite steampunk, like there's electricity and stuff like that in the world, hence lamp punk like theme to it. Looks like it could be really cool.
Trailer for it?
Potentially.
Because like the original one, it looked very generic. The gameplay looked
why
generic.
This gentleman is carrying around a battle axe. I have questions about that.
That's the smoking axe.
You get some gameplay. So like this is some of the world design, let's say, if you're watching live.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's a
kinda
builder. So,
neato.
like you actually build these like towns, villages. You would probably play it co-op. You can have like cyclopses coming in trying to destroy your shit. You can befriend some of the monsters and get them on your side and stuff like that. So it's if you're into like your Ark or your the island, things like that, then this is probably going to be the game for you.
Oh,
Sons
wait,
of the
I think I
Forest,
remember this
those
now.
types
This
of
looks a
games.
lot less early access survival crafting than the original thing I saw does.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
That's progressing.
They did announce
It
it a
looks kinda neat.
few years ago, so it's one I'm interested in. There's like a card mechanic in it, so I'm like, oh, not another card mechanic, but apparently it's all right. So we'll have to see on that front.
I never get into card games.
Sometimes it's cool, and then other times I'm like, meh, kind of thing. Like if it's just thrown onto another genre, it kind of
It's like
it
the
has to be done really well.
days of the card battle systems. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, like say Inscription,
bad.
for example, it's done really
I did
well
not
in
like
that game, but that's predominantly like a card fighting game with other aspects to it. But when it's like,
Yeah.
here's your main part of the game, oh, here's a bit of like, here's a card mechanic, like this is how you get
card
perks. I
mechanics are
hate when
fun,
they
or
do it
like
with perks.
or side games. It's fine. It's when it's like a main feature in the game, I kind of start losing a little interest in it.
Yeah, that's fair. Do any of us care about
I
Personally.
cards?
actually prefer it if it's a card mechanic up front
Mhm.
because some of the games, not all, but some of the games I played that have it in, it's kind of like, oh, it's kind of tacked on a bit, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is just here for the sake of it.
Yeah, and it just seems like a cheap way of doing like perk systems and things like that, because it's like, oh, it's
Right.
RNG, and it's just like you're only doing
Oh,
RNG because
goody.
you can't be bothered to balance, like kind of thing. It's kind of weird. Do we care about COD?
Wait, there's a new COD coming out?
Yeah,
Is it
Why
new?
wasn't I told?
Modern Warfare 3.
I do have something to say about Modern Warfare 3.
Mhm.
No, I don't care.
Fuck Bobby Kotick.
Agreed.
It's the next game.
Agreed. Payday 3.
I'm such an asshole.
No, agreed. Agreed.
Are you really an asshole, or are you just speaking the truth?
He is a truth sayer.
Yeah.
Payday 3. Do we care?
Yes, but I'm not excited.
eh,
But
Yeah,
I'm
like,
not excited.
It's nice that it's going to be there for people, I guess.
And dude,
yeah,
I know people really like it. I think it was like I was at the store the other day, and these two
they're like
kids
20
were
years
talking
old or
about
something
Payday.
ridiculous.
I don't-
When did Payday 2
So stoked
come
for the
out?
new Payday, bro.
People
So
like
good
it
for
though, don't they? It's like a pseudo
No,
GTA type
People
of
love
game.
it.
Yeah,
I
Well,
know
they're
people
updating
love
it to a new
I didn't
engine,
realize
right?
how much people loved it.
I believe so. Yeah.
Hopefully they can do more stuff instead of working in their limitations, which they seem to have done a lot with Payday 2. I think they've
Well, it's
pushed
been
that
a
as
long
far as
time
they
since the
can.
new one, right? Because I feel like Payday 2
Is it like 12 years old? When did Payday
Yeah.
2 come out?
That's what I'm
Sometime
asking.
ago.
Like, I feel like
Payday 2.
they've had enough time to like introduce a lot more mechanics now, unless they bring out
2013.
Jesus,
10
so
years
literally
ago.
10 years ago.
It's been a wee while.
Wow.
I have no idea what the First Descendant is. If I saw the trailer for it, I do not remember it. Do you remember it, Peachy?
No, I remember that thing. And I was like, is this a new Payday? But it was some fucking new retro wave shooter that I've not heard anything of since, that had absolutely no impact on me whatsoever.
That's
Mhm.
fair. That's fair.
I mean, it looks like a Payday game, and it's a new engine, so maybe they can do new cool stuff. And when
Oh.
they do the free weekend, as they usually do, I'll have a go, and then I will
Apologies.
decide.
I'm on about the First Descendant that is on the screen at the moment.
Oh, what are we on?
I do not remember seeing a trailer for the First Descendant. I skipped the Animu game, so scroll down to the First Descendant if you got the article open. In case you missed out on the previous betas for the First Descendant, there's good news for you as Nexon. Oh, that's why.
Oh,
'cause I heard the word
Nexon.
Nexon, and I went, oh, okay, I don't care because of all the shit that's going on with Dark and Darker and all that.
Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, so there's a Nexon game coming out, everyone. Sonic Frontiers, yes. So I'm happy for Sonic fans because it looks like more like classic Sonic, but there's co-op and stuff, so that seems cool. Like
Yeah.
I like the classic stuff. The open world is just stupid.
Is it open world?
Just make a Sonic game, bro.
Because
You know the Frontiers is you're in that that stock asset epic Unreal Engine sandy
Oh, right,
land, right?
right.
And then inside that you go into different worlds, which that is cool. I guess they want the juxtaposition, but do people really want that? Just can you not give us? I don't know.
I don't
mean,
know what Sonic fans want.
It did
I'm
really
sure
well, to be
good for
fair,
'em.
for what it was. Like
Yeah.
Sonic Frontiers,
Yeah.
I think was like one of
Well,
the
Okay.
yeah, but it's not going to be because of this stock bought asset fucking Unreal Engine island they put you on to begin with, right? That's not what people like.
they just
They
like the game.
How do you know?
The mini levels in between that do all these different cool visual elements.
I think they just like the
And
game in
make
general,
it-
from what I've heard. The music's apparently really good, from what I've heard as well. Quite a few people have
I don't
remarked
I
on the music.
don't actually know this,
Never
but I
got crazy about
think
Sonic growing up.
the open world thing
Goodbye.
is like a hub to pick your level.
Essentially,
Interesting.
like you can like go to like through gates and stuff from what I've seen that take you to like other biomes and whatnot. What else
Very
is there?
Diddy Kong
Oh,
racing.
sorry, it was Superstars that I was thinking of, where it's more Sonic.
Oh
Everything
yeah,
has been revamped.
Superstars.
Oh,
It's
okay.
2.5D, right?
Yes, you can have co-op in it, so you can have like 4 people rather than just like you and Tails, for example. You can have Knuckles, and I believe we spoke about it in the other episode, like a chinchilla is in there or something, like a pink chick.
How'd you go fast? if there's
chinchilla?
4 people.
Since when?
I don't know. I don't play Sonic games anymore, to be
I don't
honest.
play Sonic.
But yes, more Sonic for Sonic fans. Honkai Star Rail,
took me
I
so
don't
long to
care
learn
about,
that.
honest.
Knuckles was an echidna. And then I had to look up what an echidna was.
Yeah, I think I was the same when I was quite young, but I was like, what's an echidna? Because we don't get them here in the UK. We obviously get hedgehogs, but I was like, what the fuck's an echidna?
Well, I didn't know what he was for the longest time. I was like, oh, he's just got some interesting hair for a hedgehog.
Yeah,
It's
The
like,
only
I
reason
just-
you know Sonic is a hedgehog is because his name is the Hedgehog.
Yeah, but no, but what I'm
wouldn't
saying
know.
is I know what a
It doesn't look
hedgehog
like a
is.
hedgehog.
Whereas
Yeah.
Knuckles the echidna, I have no idea what an echidna, or had no idea what an echidna was.
I just remember being very baffled by his hands when I was a kid. And then
Yeah.
I looked it up later, found out he was an echidna. And I was like, what the hell is an echidna?
Yeah, I just thought it was a hedgehog with a slick back. That's all I thought it was.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
That's
literally
exactly what I
it was.
thought. I was like, oh, he's the cool one.
We got
No,
some.
that's Shadow, apparently. The
Yes,
the
that-
edgelord.
Yeah, there's that one as well. Emo Sonic. We had some,
The best. Who has a gun?
which is so weird, but it is what it is. We also
Beautiful.
got updates on
Chef's kiss.
Stormgate, which is a game that I'm
Yeah.
very excited for. It's
That's gonna be-
ex-StarCraft devs who were like, we want to continue making RTS and not be Blizzarded. So they made their own studio called Frost Giant Studios. And it's basically like demons are one faction, which I think is sick. Probably throwing back a little bit to the Diablo franchise there. And then you've got like a human sci-fi Terran-like faction as well. I think there's a third one. I can't remember what the third one's supposed to be though, but
Mhm.
it's an RTS that I'm very much looking forward to.
Nice.
Grand Blue Fantasy, do we care?
Is that
That's
the
YouTube.
anime
That's not
fighting
me.
game, right?
I think
That's
it's
YouTube.
I think it's an RPG.
I never played Grand Blue. There's a I'm thinking Blaze Blue. That's the fighting game. I don't know. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
interested.
I think Grand Blue's kind of like in a similar vein to like Tales of Blah franchise.
There was one Blaze Blue that I was thinking of, or something like that, and that's
Yeah.
where I got confused. They're cousins.
Peachy,
Oh,
do you want
Bantam
to?
Games. Okay,
Mhm.
they make
Grand
good
Blue
shit.
is also a fighting game. Never mind, it's a fighting game. It shows what I know. Oh, look, Peachy. Oh, by the way,
Oh.
since Cyberpunk is next,
Yeah, I
Peachy,
didn't watch anything about it. So if you guys want to talk about it,
No, I was just gonna say I was so prepared for this. No. There's no spoilers.
Yeah,
I've already bought it.
I
was gonna say,
managed.
do you wanna know
I
about the
forced
free
myself to
stuff?
platinum the whole game in anticipation for Phantom Liberty. I'm so stoked.
do you want
No,
to know?
because
I have a
fans
bragging
of
right.
Cyberpunk ruined Cyberpunk by getting too hyped. What did they think this game was going to be? Just give them an orgasm the second they put it into their console?
I did.
Do you want to know about the changes that they're making that don't come with the expansion? They just come with the update. And it's
Oh,
not,
I
it's
did.
not-
I did read about those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It's
So,
car
like-
combat, so that means they're updating the cops,
Finally.
Yeah,
and everyone gets that, which is great.
yeah. So
Finally, it's no longer just
so-
story related.
the free stuff is there's car combat. So cars can be shooty gun, Carmageddon / twisted metal.
So terrible at driving
kind of
it.
stuff.
So I can't wait.
The police AI.
It won't be that much.
Yeah. The police AI has been updated. I'm not going to say fixed, but it's supposed to be a lot better and a lot more
They'll
dynamic.
probably be chasing you in cars now.
Yeah.
Oh, probably.
They've redone the perk system completely because
Oh
apparently
god!
everyone
So now
hated
we
the
have to
other one.
reallocate our perks.
Yeah. And they've
I did that
added.
multiple times per playthrough to get to a certain point and then respend more points.
I don't know. I had characters I had like set them up where I liked it, and then when they made me redo it, I was like, I don't know what I did.
Oh shit! I need to uninstall my mods before I play it because it'll
I
fuck up.
did.
Yeah, that's true.
And when I went back to play it, I had like 3 achievements left that I wanted to go get, and I got all of them like in one night. And I I was trying to do the devil achievement, which is where you save Takamura. And I walked in and I was like, why am I getting one shot? Because I didn't allocate my points.
Right.
My Netrunners dying constantly. I was like, I knew I played very hard, but I didn't think the game was this hard.
Yeah, they're also adding a relic system, which looks like just a steroids perk system. Like that some.
I thought they were going to do that because
they were going to do that, yeah. Because there's a slot for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm.
And it was just blank, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's for. I was like, oh, that's probably for an expansion. And then all the shit kicked off, and they were like, well, we're fixing it. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's not happening anymore. And
then
they
just kind of farted it into the menu for a bit. Now it's back.
It still makes sense in a lore sense because that's your brain and your updates, and you can't access
God
it.
thought that it was going to show up later, like probably towards the end, like maybe you get to a certain point with the relic, and it was going to unlock like new perks and things. And I was like, nope, this is just farted on my screen. Thank you.
Yeah. I think there was a couple of other things, but they were some of the main stuff. And then, of course, you'll get the story with the new DLC. Next, we've already talked about Mortal Kombat 1. Expeditions, rather, a Mud Runner game, as Peachy was talking about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. SnowRunner wasn't a disappointment, but it was very... They stripped some things out so they can give you more of a game. But I really like the nitty gritty of trying to get around in the original one. This one is more it's called Expedition, so it's more exploratory, which is that's where the fun was in Mud Runner.
Right.
So hopefully they're going back there, and hopefully it's not going to go full live service like the last one did a little bit.
Yeah, well,
because they were having seasons and stuff, and I'm like, I just don't care anymore.
I wouldn't be surprised if they leaned
is
more.
Mud Runner a racing game, Peachy? What would you do? How would you describe Mud Runner? What is it exactly?
It's a driving game. It's not a racing game.
Okay.
It's like a puzzle. You're trying to get across wilderness and difficult to reach places. And the first one
is it? Oh no! I was commenting. Oh, that sounds neat. Like I was interjecting.
It's very cool, and I must admit I had a lot of fun with SnowRunners. But I think I preferred Mud Runners.
Yeah,
I did. And hopefully...
To summarize it, Pope, it's you start at one point, you've got to get to another point, and there is like a muddy trail, or in SnowRunner, like a snowy trail kind of thing, and like it takes into account the physics of what you're driving, which is usually some form of truck or something like that.
That actually sounds really cool. Yeah, I kind of like that.
You got to be worried about getting your wheels stuck in the mud. If you do you use like a certain technique to get it out, or do you use like a rope tied to your truck, stuff like that? And basically picking your path and trying not to get stuck in the mud.
Nice. That's really sick, actually. Yeah.
You have a map, and you got to unlock things about this map. Now, SnowRunners had a lot of maps and a lot of things to find, which was probably the way I would have thought you'd go, but I'm definitely missing some of that nitty gritty of trying to get through mud that I did in Mud Runner.
Okay, cool.
Marvel Snap got an update if you're into mobile
Speaking of card games,
I mean, it's
do
very
people
popular.
like Marvel Snap?
Yeah, I know.
I heard that.
It's massive.
Like it? Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
actual gamers play Marvel Snap.
Yeah, it's actually a really popular game.
Actual gamers
plays Marvel Snap.
I don't play Marvel Snap.
I generally don't play mobile games. There's usually if I play a mobile game, it's like an indie puzzle game, like the one that I've got on my phone at the moment. I've got Vampire Survivors. I gave that a go. No, I'm not a Candy Crusher. Railbound, which was like a puzzle game where you've got to try and get your train from one end to the other by laying out the track, but you've only got so many pieces and you've got to do it in certain directions, and there's things that can change the directions.
I have like one I play, but it's like I half pay attention.
Yeah, like
I have a couple, and they're all Warhammer.
That's fair.
Of course,
and one of them is a card game.
Shocker.
Last Epoch, basically hyping
take it away, Brian.
1.0. I mean, I'm excited for it. I've not got a lot to say about it. I've played it a lot. I think it's one of the better action RPGs out there. If it had the marketing of Diablo or Blizzard, I think it would probably actually be more popular. if they were able to get out to that audience. So I'm actually just glad that they were at Gamescom and they were able to talk about it. This is a studio that started off with like 2 dudes who were just like, oh, we like making action RPGs. Do you want to make one kind of thing? And you got a Kickstarter. Now it's like this 100-man studio, whatever, fully remote as well. And they've been making this game and like going from stride to stride despite that. Whereas some studios have kind of fallen victim to the COVID era kind of thing. And it's impacted their games like Redfall, things like that, you know. So it's something I'm looking forward to.
That was publisher.
That as well, yeah. Warhaven, I was stoked for this until I saw actual gameplay during the beta, and I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
This looks awful.
Yeah.
Like all the gameplay videos they did. I'm not at the moment. I'm just blasting through the IGN article.
Watch it. Everyone go watch it.
I'm actually tempted to go see it now.
Well, when they first started showing it off, it looked like a more arcadey version of For Honor, which I think is a very fun game. And I was like, "Ooh, this looks like it would be cool." And then I actually saw people playing it, and I was like, "Ooh, this looks like it's bad, like just straight up bad." So
doesn't look fun. Like the combat itself doesn't look like fun.
It's not that impressive looking at all. It's very clunky. Like
I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, it basically turned me off the game immediately. I do not remember this game. Aura History Untold, so it probably didn't leave a
Oh, is this the city builder? Like Anno. Yeah, the 4X.
Yeah,
it's the 4X.
Oh.
It looks cool. It looks cool. I'm like on the fence with 4X. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I want some of that, and then I'm like, oh, I don't really like this. So
yeah, Civ 6 was the last one I played.
I'm probably gonna see if I can.
I was looking at this. The art style was kind of quirky. I was very fascinated. I don't know nothing about it.
Thank goodness you're here. I don't remember anything about that either. Maybe it's just because it's been 3 weeks.
I was just looking through the list, but I haven't seen any trailers. Because I missed the show.
This is an interesting one. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I know. But I did stop on that one. I was like, oh, that looks cute. Reminds me of Professor Layton.
Oh yeah.
One thing I thought was really weird was Diablo 4 Season 2 got announced. Which
don't you mean Diablo 4 bug fix?
Well, no, because
it's just a bug fix. Call it Season 2.
They've actually fixed quite a lot of the bugs. There's still features and stuff that people want in Diablo 4, but it's kind of weird because obviously I'm used to Path of Exile and other action RPGs that do the same live service format, and they tend to announce like the big season thing usually a couple of weeks before it goes. Whereas they've announced this like a full month and a half, like 7 weeks ahead. So it's like, is that an indication of something? Maybe they've lost loads of players quite quickly, which is possible because usually the format for the live service is you recycle and reset the content every 3 months. Whereas with Diablo 4, they had a, excuse me, like a season 0, which lasted a month. And then you went into season 1. So I'm just wondering if they've had a significant drop off in players and they're like, quick, we need to advertise something. Or if they're just blowing the load early kind of thing, which is what it feels like to me. So I thought that was a bit weird and out of place. I've seen a lot of people remark, they were like, cool, I guess. Why are you telling us now? kind of thing. But yeah, that will start on October 17th. So it's a ways away.
Is Diablo 4 struggling right now?
Yes and no. With the casual audience, no. With the audience that I think... let me start from the beginning. I think there is a problem that...
So what have you done, Peachy?
No. So I think there's a problem with Diablo 4, and that problem is Diablo 3. Diablo 3 became, at one point, the 10th best-selling game in the world. It did extraordinarily well, despite some of the criticism it had. The reason for that is it was extraordinarily dumbed down and had a huge appeal to a casual audience. It sold billions of copies. So that makes sense, because that was a buy-to-play game. They've now made another casual action RPG with a box price, but intend to continue it as a live service. Which means there's going to be a lot of comparisons to Path of Exile, which has an extraordinary amount of depth. And the reason Path of Exile does well is because it retains the hardcore players, not the casual players. The players who come back, who play multiple characters every 3 months, see a new season, they're like, this looks sick, and they enjoy all that content and rinse, repeat that same cycle. With Diablo 4, because it's all casual, so is the amount of depth. So people play it for like a week and go, I've enjoyed this week. This was a good week. goodbye. And then they piss off the Path of Exile or whatever other game. And sure, they may come back again in season 2, season 3, but it's probably only for about a week or so. So I think they are going to have players coming back, but it's going to have a significantly lower retention rate than they probably expect, and which means they're not making as many sales through the cash shops and stuff as well. So I think that's their problem. They've gone, oh, we've had to appease shareholders by making sure we sell millions of copies, which they have. But then that's impacting the live service model because there's not enough depth to keep the hardcore players in place. So that's essentially it. And a lot of these hardcore players have been going, well, I really enjoyed Diablo 4, or people who became hardcore players of Diablo 4, and then they're going, I wonder what Last Epoch's like, who started a new season a couple of weeks ago, and it's a fucking good season, might I add. So it looks like they're hemorrhaging the hardcore audience.
Barrier for entry for Last Epoch?
There isn't one. It's free. You just get into it. Technically, it is advantageous. You could even argue slightly pay to win to purchase stash tabs, so you can store gear. Some of the stash tabs have a utility benefit to them, so it's not just like, here's a big tab that you just stuff in. It will actually sort things by, like there's a map tab, so you keep all your maps, which is like going into a nightmare dungeon in Diablo 4, but they're an item, they're a consumable. So you basically have that all organized for you. Again, in Diablo 4, it's just a mess. You've got a very few and small tabs, and like there's nowhere to organize it. There's no search function, for example. But yeah, so a lot of people are going, all these things that we don't like about Diablo 4, the hardcore audience, are then looking at Path of Exile and then going, oh, there they are. They're all the things we like. Cool. And then they're sticking with PoE. So, well, hopefully it will be something chunky, but I don't think it will be. But we'll see. Alan Wake 2, we saw some more footage of that. A lot more focus on Alan. Alan woke. Alan was awake. Yes, a lot more gameplay from Alan's perspective.
I'm very excited for Alan Wake 2.
I still didn't enjoy the first one. I'm stoked for people that like it.
It's so goofy though.
Yeah, it's my avenue of horror because it's like scary, but also
it's so goofy when the enemies come out and they start yelling random shit at you. Like, that's my man over there.
Oh, I mean, I am terrified, but
I appreciate that you appreciate the campiness. Yeah. That's my type of horror as well. It's like, just give me something to laugh at every now and again because it kind of helps with the tension.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. I'm just not a horror fan, I guess. Like I said before, I enjoy watching people play it because I enjoy their reactions more than the actual content.
My audience likes me getting scared because I'm easily scared, but like I'm more of a horror movie buff than a horror game buff because I am such a weenie.
Right. Like if I played a horror game, I'd be in crouch all the time. Like, can we go around this corner and not die?
I think I told you my best moment was playing Alien Isolation. I refused to get out of the locker because the alien was out there. I was like, no, I'm not going out.
Yeah,
fuck that.
This is where I live now.
The problem with Alien Isolation is once you've put a bunch of hours into it, you figure out how the AI works.
It was I think it's the first time like the alien's like actually out and about. Like, I mean, I already passed the first initial introduction, but it's when I had to like get to a certain door. I can't remember, but I heard the bitch.
A tiny little bit shorter, just a little bit before you start figuring out that the director, whatever it's called, is pulling the strings. Just a little bit, but I think it's still a good scary game.
No, it's fantastic. It's very effective. I was too scared to go.
Have you played it in VR?
And also, horror games like work against my better judgment of watching so many horror movies. It's like, no, I'm not going in there by myself.
I know what happens.
I know what's gonna happen.
Have either of you played?
Go in there. No. What?
Either of you played the VR mod for it?
No.
I straight up refuse to. Like, people have, like, when I've done like charity things, people are like, oh, well, you play a horror game because that would be funny because you don't play horror games. And I'm like, okay, suggestions. And then people are like, Alien Isolation VR mod. I'm like, no, not a hope in hell.
I put on Phasmo for about 7 minutes. Didn't even get into a house, and I shit my pants.
I can imagine, the immersion
I'm just
of VR
standing outside the house by the van going, I'm not going in there. All right, well, I'm never playing this
just
again.
Holding on to the side like, no, I'm not going. It was pushing you. Come on, we've got to investigate.
I don't want to.
No.
Dude, it's like the amount of times. It's like, No. If I'm going in that house, all of you are coming with me. I'm not doing this by myself.
I would
'cause
literally
I'm
be kicking
smarter
them
than
to
that.
death before they can even get me in there. I'm like, fuck off! No, this is where I live. I'm staying in the
No,
van.
but like playing it normally, I'm fine. I'm a
Yeah.
bit spooked now and again, but I'm mostly fine. But the second
VR.
I was so immersed, I'm like, oh hell no.
Yeah. No, VR changes everything
Dude,
about
I
gaming.
hurt myself in VR. I have a history of hurting myself in VR.
People do.
So
Like, because
Yeah.
it fucks with people's, because
I
of them getting immersed. So go on.
Mhm. I was streaming it. Like the one time I streamed, my friend brought over his VR, and I almost clocked him once, and that was his fault. I shouldn't have been standing there. And I have a record player that's solid wood that I slammed my hand down on because I didn't realize I was that close and almost broke my hand.
So there's,
Yeah.
Where it's like you see me on stream going like, "How?"
VR knuckles.
Wait, I think I actually hurt my hand. Holy shit!
but you've got
I didn't break my hand.
you've got the knuckles that you got to worry about because you're obviously hitting stuff if you haven't cleared your area properly. But there's also it's very common. There was a game, I think it's called The Climb, which was for just the Quest, I believe it was, where you literally are just climbing up a like rock face or whatever, kind of like bouldering, but or outdoor climbing.
But did people try to use their feet and accidentally fall?
Not quite, but if they fall off,
God, how stupid
they're
was
so
that?
immersed, their body clock kind of like fucks with them, and their center of gravity goes with it. So people have fallen over because they have missed a jug or something that's supposed to be
And then
holding
just like
onto,
eat
and they
shit
actually fall
in their living
real
rooms.
life.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
there was people going to play at conventions, and they would be falling over and landing into the equipment and stuff like that because they'd like just get so immersed and think they're actually falling. VR fucks with you
It's
so
funny,
much.
but
Yeah, it
that's
does.
so dangerous because I can only imagine like falling forward into your own desk or something if you're like doing something and just like like knocking your jaw or something.
Yeah, like
When you
maybe,
play a
maybe your
lot of
mic's there and you
VR,
headbutt it.
And I'm thinking of that because I've been paying for a lot of dental work lately, so it's like I would never want to break my teeth.
when you start playing a lot of VR and you get over a bit of the motion sickness if you have a bit and stuff like that, when you're outside of VR, it's weird. Your brain's like, is this a simulation? It's I don't know what the feeling's called, but it feels odd.
How do you?
It's kind of like just motion sickness in general. I
Well,
think.
no, it's when you're out of VR and you're like, oh, no, wait, this is real. I can grab this. I can actually physically grab this thing. Your brain's like just trying to compute what's happening. Because in VR, there are concessions you make because they're not actually there. You can't feel a thing.
Maybe it's a bit like, because your eyes adjust to things and your brain can sometimes go on autopilot. Like, when you look at like a black and white spiral thing and then you turn away and the wall is suddenly twisting
Yeah.
for like a minute or so. Like maybe it's that because your eyes are focusing in a particular thing that's only a few inches or an inch or so away from your face. And then suddenly you take it off and it can focus out of that. But your brain's been doing the VR focal distance for so long, it's just fucking with your brain a bit. That would be my guess, potentially. Your brain is still seeing it in VR despite you being out of VR.
Oh, that's crazy. It's kind of like I imagine it's similar to like because I've been I bought a treadmill like about a month ago and I've been using it every single day. It's amazing. But you go on there for like an hour and then you walk off and you're like, oh, it's just like your whole equilibrium's off. It's same thing, but instead it's not.
Or if you've been on a ship for a while and you go onto land, wait, I don't have to adjust for the waves, so it feels wonky. Yeah, no, 100%.
Oh shit, he's still got sea legs.
Sea legs. So let's wrap up for the first half. We'll go on a break, and then when we return, Peachy has a lot to talk about with
I'm very excited to hear
Warhammer. We've got a bunch
Space
of other
Marine
topics.
2 as well. There are video games. There are video games.
We've got
Gamers.
Space Marines 2 rather, and also I can't words. Pulp has been playing some Starfield, so I'd like to hear what she has to say.
Oh, I can't wait to
I've been
bitch
playing
about the
Starfield
industry
and Sea
during
of
that.
Stars. I've been playing that too, and I picked up Armor Core, but I didn't get that far.
That's fair. We'll cover as much as we can though, but for now, mics are hot.
Yeah.
Go stretch your legs. Go get a cup of tea. Go cry. BRB. Welcome back to part 2, everyone, of the Fully Rendered
Hello.
podcast. We're going to talk about Space Marine 2. Peachy,
Yeah.
take the lead.
Ah!
She is so excited.
All right, so there was a new gameplay trailer from Focus. I also learned in between that it's the guys that made World War Z that are
Yes.
making the new one.
Yep.
I didn't actually realize
Oh, really?
And they're
It's on their
implementing a
engine
part
as
of it.
well.
Yeah. Which plays a big part in it, which I'm sure Peachy will cover in a moment.
Yeah, so there was a lot of cool stuff. It was mostly gameplay, and there's stuff to find if you're a Warhammer nerd. Like, no one comes to mind right now. But I was like, I need to know what Tyranids are in here. So we've seen some Tyranid warriors. Well, there might be a Tyranid Prime in there, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it's just a Tyranid warrior with bone swords. But maybe. We haven't seen any with wings, which the primes usually have wings, but not always. So I think it's a warrior. Those are the bigger enemies we see him fighting. The smaller enemies you see them fight are the Hormigants, which are the melee version of the little boys. I did see some Termagants there. There was only like 5. They were in this room and they were shooting. Termagants are the ones that have range. There was no leapers. And I refuse to believe there's no leapers in the game because they've just invented a new type of leaper, which is Von Ryan's leapers. And those will work for video games because they're fucking terrifying. They jump at you and they stab you and stuff. So I think we're going to see those, but I've not seen them yet. Also, the big flocks of Tyranids that you've seen in all the things, they were much bigger in this new one. There was like multiple swarms flying around. Those are gargoyles. Which is pretty cool. They don't feature much in the game, but there have been a bunch of new models announced, so maybe there's some more gargoyles in there. So that's pretty cool. The coolest mechanic thing I saw was they're literally catching Tyranids out of midair. He's like pushing a button when someone's pulling him. I assume it's going to be like Batman Arkham Combat type thing.
Right.
Yeah. He just catches one, just fucks it up, and then carries on fighting. It was the most badass thing I've ever seen. Oh, and also he's walking through all the guard. We are going to talk about the guard. Yes, I did see the tank. Some of the guard, because in lore, Space Marines, they're demigods, right? They are just superhuman. They're so far superhuman. Are they even human anymore?
Right.
And as they're walking through the guard, which are just normal people, right, in the Imperium, you can see some of them like kneeling down and praying and all that stuff. And it's like, this is fucking sick. This is the power fantasy of a Space Marine, like in a nutshell. Yeah, so that was really cool. I will say it's not as Warhammer as Darktide. And that sounds stupid, but the reason for that is Darktide is inside these giant cathedrals and stuff like that. And what we saw from the gameplay was these giant battlefields, which makes sense because that's how you play Warhammer.
Yeah.
But when you think of Warhammer video games, it's this gothic industrial architecture. And there's not that much of that going on in the game because these are these huge open fields. So like you've got hundreds of thousands of Tyranids running. I can't remember what gun he grabbed. But he got a big gun. Maybe it was a heavy bolter. And there's just the flocks of these Tyranids just flowing, and he's just laying into them. I'm like, give it to me now. Give it to me now. I did sign up for the beta, yeah. Yeah, so with the Astra Militarum, this is the guard. These are the normal humans. They had a Lehman Russ. You're going to have a Lehman Russ. That's the ubiquitous tank. I don't have one to show you. But they also had a Hellhound. Okay. I don't even know if they sell Hellhounds anymore, but a Hellhound is a longer tank because most of the tanks are quite squat and short.
Yeah.
In Warhammer, they're massive, so they're not actually, but like their dimensions. A Hellhound is quite long, and it's got the turret right at the front, usually a smaller, like maybe a Demolisher or something like that, which is really cool because I don't think there's any Hellhounds in Darktide. I think it's all Lehman Russes. Please correct me if I'm wrong. There's like a row of Astra Militarum, the guards, and there's all these las rifle shots going off, boo, boo, shooting into the. It was just fucking badass. I cannot wait to play it. Oh, Marauder bombers. We had Marauder bombers and Valkyries. We saw right at the end. Marauder bombers are from the Navy, which technically isn't part of the Astra Militarum. It's part of the Imperial Navy, but they often work together when they're fighting on planets and stuff, which is pretty cool. Also, cherubs. If you know, you know.
I do not know.
I do not know.
You're not ready to know about cherubs. You're not ready to know about servitors yet, so you are not ready for cherubs. What else? Oh, there was destructible assets. He was fighting in a bit of an open thing, and I noticed some smaller assets were destructible. So that'll be cool when you've like just decimated the enemy and everything's just fallen apart.
Right,
It should be cool. But they were definitely the smaller assets. It wasn't like larger chunks of like buildings and stuff like that. The Valkyries, and right at the end, there were Chaos Marines, specifically the Thousand Suns, which are psychers based on like weird Egyptian magic-y type stuff.
Right.
And it was just at the end. He walks in. The camera goes on, and he's walking in this land. It looks a bit Zinshi, which is one of the chaos gods. There are 4. And I was like, oh, that's a bit Zinshi. And he looks around, and there's stuff over there. I'm like, okay, what's that? And then something's shooting at him, and you look over, and it is the Thousand Suns. So that's the chaos we'll be fighting. Is the Thousand Suns, which is really cool. Because I wasn't expecting to see that. I thought it was going to be all Tyranids, which would have been fine. But there was some chaos at the end of the first one, so it makes sense that it would be in there. But very cool to see the Thousand Suns. They don't get a lot of love because, I mean, I don't really like their models too much, but I don't really like that Egyptian vibe. They got these huge things, but the idea is cool. And Magnus, the red, is pretty cool as well. So, yeah. Did you guys see the gameplay trailer?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now.
In the same detail I did.
Yeah, so to talk on some of the mechanics, as Peachy mentioned earlier, the same devs that made World War Z are making this game. And the reason that's important is there's tech in their engine that allows you to have like literally thousands of models on screen at once, like the zombies in World War Z. World War Z...
I'm noticing these little swarm things in the air.
Yeah, so in World War Z, that was a mechanic that was liked, but the game overall wasn't favored that well. It looks like they're learning from the mistakes in World War Z and then utilizing their engine in perhaps the best possible way. As Peachy said, it's more like akin to fighting one of these actual battles like you would in Warhammer, where you've built an army and then you're like one piece in the army. So any unit you see on screen, even if it's like coming over a hill in the distance or flying around in the sky, that's a real unit that you could eventually get to and find and slaughter. So it's not
that's pretty sick.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, so like 1, that's crazy optimized, like for it to do that, and 2, it's cool to be able to see something in the distance, like like in
kind of such a small detail. I'm noticing like just the fabric moving just looks so fucking satisfying.
Yeah, it looks like a
I've been
really
watching
good
that.
game.
It looks very nice.
Yeah, it's a very, very pretty game. As Peachy was saying, there's like mechanics where if something's leaping towards you or flying towards you, it will give you a target test so you can grab it. And you can do like a gore move where you just cut it in half with your sword.
I assume that's just for the very small, shitty enemies like the Hormagaunts that feature mostly in this. Those big swarms where they're pouring down the wall and going up the bridge. Those are Hormagaunts.
Yeah,
are they Hormagaunts? They weren't Termagaunts.
There's a few that are crawling on all fours that leap about in this video, and he grabs one of them a couple of times as well. The bigger units with the swords, you've kind of got, you can't just wail on them. You actually have to kind of like one-on-one them, and there's like a somewhat of a parry system, and then you can do a glory or a gory kill afterwards.
Those are the Tyranid warriors.
Yeah. So you'll see probably one in a moment. So the bigger units, they're a bit, the smaller units you can just happy slap your way through with your weapons or gun them down, whatever, and then the bigger units you tend to actually have to take on properly one-on-one.
That's how it works on the tabletop, to be honest, because the Tyranids are a swarm army. You have a lot of those little guys, and they're quite cheap.
It looks phenomenal. I think the gameplay looks fantastic. So here's one of those bigger units. So he parries it, and then when it glows, you can do the glory kill on it, stuff like that. I think it's going to be a really fun to play game. It runs allegedly.
It looks very fun.
It allegedly runs okay on high-end software. I don't know.
I did see some frame dips, but I would expect that.
Yeah, so it's okay on high-end. We don't know about low-end hardware, sorry. Or I don't anyway. I haven't seen anyone who's previewed it on anything smaller than like a 3090, so who knows about the low-end. But we'll see.
They're going into closed beta, so yeah.
Yeah, we'll get news on it soon. The other Warhammer stuff that you want to talk about, Peachy?
Oh yeah, we have the Nova Open. We're done with this notepad. We have a new notepad. Let's have a look. That's my f-stop for my camera. Yes, there was a bunch of stuff. I'm going to try and run through it before Brian's eyes glaze over. But the Nova Open was an American convention. They also had a bunch of tournaments and stuff. I didn't really pay attention to the tournament stuff, so I don't know what armies are doing there. We kind of know how strong some of the armies are. My army's very weak, so I'm not watching tournament play right now. We got new Terminators multi-parts. So there'll be posable, the ones that come in the starter set, which is you don't actually need glue. I do. But they're one pose and you put them together and they're pretty cool. The new Terminator design is just incredible. But we're getting multi-parts with them, all in plastic. There was a new chaplain in Terminator armor that looks fucking sick. Chaplain is kind of like the spiritual leader, not like the leader of the army. It's the spiritual leader in a group. And they have powers and abilities, and they have a big old Crozius, which looks like a mallet, but can chop things in half. How does that work? I have no idea, but it's badass.
A lot of brute force and ignorance, I imagine.
Oh, something about Space Marine 2, they had the jump pack on him, the big ass jump pack when he was in the Zinchland.
Right.
Those jump packs, they have announced intercessors, which are your basic Space Marines, with jump packs, so they can fly about. They look pretty cool. They all have a tactical rock, which is very important.
Tactical rock. Like
Yes.
they throw it like, oh, we need to escape, quick.
No, so it's a rock, so they can have them doing a dynamic pose because they're
Right.
flying units. You want them in the air a bit, and they put a
Right.
little rock and you stand on it. It's a
Right.
tactical rock. Good news, everyone. Good news. There is a new Space Marine captain. I know. It's been, what, minutes since we've had the last one?
Shocked.
There are a lot of them.
Right.
They all seem to be multi-part as well, which is really cool. So you can change your loadout however you want. Usually they give you one option and you put that together. Maybe they'll give you a gun option, but they got different heads and helmets and weapons and different styles, which is pretty fucking cool.
Do you ever mod your miniatures? Like, do you just go, you know what, this person has a grenade launcher, so I'm going to cut it off and then glue it onto another model?
Yes. Yeah, it's called kit bashing.
Right.
Yeah, that's done a lot. Like usually when you buy a set of, you'll get different. In a big set, you'll get different heads, different weapon loadouts depending on what you want to go with. Not that important in 10th edition, but you can do it. But with character models like a captain or chaplain, usually it's like, here you go, that's it. But there seems to be a bunch of options, which is really cool. It's called, yeah, my chat's got it there, WYSIWYG. Not everyone does this, but when you build an army, it's like, oh, those guys got bolt pistols, for instance. So you give them bolt pistols on the model, but it doesn't matter. Like if you're playing with your mate, you just go, oh, those got bolt pistols, and you're like, okay, oh, I will remember that.
For those not familiar, WYSIWYG is what you see is what you get.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's also a pitch shifter song. What did we got? Stern Guard. Oh. Also, the Stern Guard. One of them. These are older members of the army that have been there for hundreds of years. One of them, and I hope there's more in the box. One of them had a Mark 8 helmet, which is the Screamer helmet. Now I love Primaris Marines. I think they're awesome, but I really want a Screamer helmet, and I'm gonna, the second that's out, I'm going on eBay trying to get me a Mark. I realize how nerdy I sound that I want this particular helmet for my boys when I'm fighting, but they're iconic and they're very cool. Also, one of them has a back banner. Back banners are back.
I appreciate the self-awareness.
So big banner sticking out the back of the backpacks, which is cool. We can skip that. Scouts, there's new scouts. They seem to have reduced their jockstrap bulge, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Fair.
I don't know.
That man's codpiece is too small.
If you look at an old scout, you look at them and you go, wow, codpiece, and then you see the rest of the mini.
Right.
They've made it a lot subtle, so you see the mini first, and I don't know how I feel about that.
How disappointing.
Bunch of new Sigma, really nice sculpts. I'll skip over them because even I'm not that excited about Sigma, but there's some cool stuff. There's new Oryx. They've got the new armies, cities, which is pretty cool. 30k, we've got new plastic. Let me skip through. New Warcry box, which is standalone box set. So I'll get these two to play Warcry. Don't worry. There's 2 new armies in the box. Blood Bowl. There's a new Blood Bowl team, Vampires, which is pretty cool. I think there's a new season actually happening for Blood Bowl, which is quite exciting because I don't recall the last time they did a new season that wasn't just changing the entire rules. So that's pretty cool. New Underworlds box game.
How does that work with Blood Bowl? Like, is it just like physical downloadable content kind of thing where they're adding it to Blood Bowl, or are they doing a new version of Blood Bowl?
It's a new season, so there'll be some tweaks to rules.
Right.
New teams, because they're not armies, it's 2 football teams. It's like a skirmish game, and they're playing a version of American football. Pulp football. They're playing football.
Yeah, so
they're playing American football.
For those who don't know, I would say it's more like rugby though, surely. Or is it more like American football?
No, it is definitely a meme about American football, but it's not like, yes, you are trying to score a touchdown, but you're trying to kill everyone.
For those who don't know, Blood Bowl is literally American football, but with Warhammer miniatures on a pitch, and you move them around and stuff, and there's a ball that actually gets thrown around. But you beat the shit.
They're loosely based on Warhammer Fantasy races, but it doesn't make sense in the lore, so it's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
But you can kind of mix and match your miniatures if you want. I have a blood. No, do you know what? No, nobody needs to know that. Well, we got some Slashy Demonettes. Oh, Big Squid Boy. He was pretty sick. Old World resin stuff. And the most important thing is we've got a new Primarch, a traitor Primarch, Fulgrim, transfigured. Brian, you might have to Google this. It's called Fulgrim Transfigured. And this boy is huge. He's a giant, snaky bastard with giant wings. Fulgrim is the beautiful boy, right? He's Slanesh. And he's so fucking needy that even his miniature is going to require an entire bag to carry this boy. He is thick, he is long, he's got giant ass wings, and he's beautiful. But I won't paint him because he's resin and it'll be forge wheels. It'll be £1 million, and I don't really like painting resin because it's not where I like. I'd like it in plastic.
Is Fulgrim who I've got on screen now?
Yes, that's the boy. He is one of the traitor Primarchs.
That's very nice.
Looks very cool.
Very nice.
Oh, that's a traitor Primarch. You know what the Primarchs are, right?
No.
Okay.
So I just comment on pure aesthetics.
No, he is like, their whole shtick is they must look beautiful and be artists, and that drives them so far that they fall to Slanesh, a demon of the war.
I love the character designs and the creature designs rather.
That is from 30k, so I don't know if we'll get 40k rules for Fulgrim. I kind of hope so. That'd be cool, because maybe we'll get it in plastic and not fucking Forge World resin. I can't afford Forge World resin, my dude. Come on.
Resin seems like it molds better though. So for example, when I see people 3D print models, one of my community members does it. Check out their Etsy if you can remember his name. It's PNW Hammer. He basically
Poon Hammer.
Yeah, Poonwhammer, as I call him. But yeah, he uses a resin 3D printer, and they look so pretty compared to like when I've seen plastic ones, because there's always like a bit of an edge and stuff, and like in the molding and all that shit. Whereas when he does them in resin, I'm like, that's a nice booty kind of thing.
Yeah, so you're talking about 3D printing is very different, and plastic is the best.
That's fair.
Warhammer, Games Workshop plastic, nothing comes close. Some things come close.
Would you not prefer them to be metal like they used to be?
No. Have you seen them? Well, okay, that's not unfair, because I love like old Hammer, because they're so goofy and they got so much heart in them. But no, I want to paint nice plastic that has been designed in CAD and printed to within an inch of its life. Well, not printed, pressed to within an inch of its life.
Right.
And that's the Warhammer Roundup, and it only took half an hour.
That's fine. Well played. Well played.
I love it when he gets on those tangents. He gets so excited.
I cut out so much stuff because lots of people don't like Sigma. I think they have very nice models. But a lot of people don't like Sigma, and that's fine. I just like Space Marines. I love Space Marines, so I'm happy when there's a new captain. I'm actually happy.
I'm one of those people who would love to get into the Warhammer world, which is why I'm probably interested in the games, but I just don't have the time or the money for the
You
miniatures.
don't need much, Brian.
No,
You
not at all.
you need
It's
a
just only
couple
a few paints.
You only need to
It's just one
dedicate
or
a
two
room of your
paint.
house. It's fine.
You just need a giant stack of drawers full of plastic. That's all you need, Brian.
That's like the shrine.
It's not a pile of shame. It's a pile of potential.
It's a pile of a shrine of Warhammer. That's what it is. Many shrines stacked on top of each other. But no, I like it. I like that you're.
But it's quite impressive.
Yeah, to be honest, I love it when people go in on their hobbies. You know what I mean? And you get to see them actually like.
I don't have
look how
space for
glorious
stuff
it
like
is, kind of
that.
thing. Yeah.
Because I live in a
So
one
this is a
bedroom apartment
lamenter.
So
Jesus
moving
Christ.
on.
They're the most unlucky. Oh,
No, I'm
okay.
sorry. It's time. It's 5 seconds, Peachy. But yeah,
Brian's gonna get the crook and just pull me up.
5 minutes.
I'll just put you in jail like we did with Prop that one time.
One time.
One time.
I'll never live it down.
Can we do it again? There we go. She's in jail again. There we go. Right. Moving on. It's the LMG follow-up. We'll probably go through this pretty quickly. So LMG ended up halting their production of videos for like the first time ever for 9 entire days off the back of initially a video by Gamers Nexus, who was reacting to a clip in one of Linus's videos or in LMG's videos where they were like, we do this, and I'm paraphrasing, but they were like, we do this better than Gamers Nexus, gaming on hardware and box and all that. And then Gamers Nexus was like, oh, really? kind of thing. And did like a 40-something minute video where they pointed out a lot of mistakes. And it wasn't all of them. There was a good like 15 mistakes. Some of them quite like egregious in terms of how
Don't
they
try and
affect people.
actual Steve. That guy is locked on.
Yeah, he definitely is. Some of them were like smaller things like errors in their data, and they were obviously, as a reviewer, passing that off as accurate, which can of course affect people's consumer decisions when they want to make a purchase. So there was loads of things like that. But then there was also things like where they tested a prototype product where it was a cooling block. So a cooling block is something you'd put onto like a graphics card or a CPU to use for like water cooling and things like that. And
It was a very boutique product.
yes, it was very like unique in what it was supposed to do. It was specifically for a RTX 3090, which they didn't have on hand, which was weird because they were sent one with the prototype, but they somehow lost it temporarily. So they ended up putting it on a 4090, and then at the conclusion of the video, they're like, yeah, it's shit, it doesn't do anything. And it's like, you've put it on the wrong card. And then people like pushed back on Linus and was like, why are you doing this? And on their live podcast show called The One Show, Linus was like, it's not worth spending however much money to refilm that part of the video, like paying for staff members to re-record, rewrite the script, stuff like that, just to eventually come to the same conclusion, which is a hypothesis because he believes it will come to the same conclusion. He's got nothing to back that up. So people are like, oh, you don't know that. You still tested it on the wrong shit, and therefore you've given misinformation. That same prototype then also got auctioned off to charity at their convention, the Linus, I forgot what it's called, but let's call it LinusCon for ease. And they had that convention, it got auctioned off, and then the people who sent the prototype were like, yo, what up? We want our prototype back, kind of thing. Like, we need that. It's actually a lot of money. Also, what the fuck happened to the 3090 we sent you? So Linus tried to repair that relationship, but by this point, everyone was dunking on them for basically all the facts that Steve in the Gamers Nexus video had pointed out to them. Then there was a former employee called Madison who was a community favorite, I would say, when she was briefly in the videos. She was very well received. She actually got the job because she won a competition that involved her being in the video. And then everyone was like, she's amazing, hire her like as a video host. And they did. And then it just didn't work out. And she did a very long Twitter thread, probably like 40 tweets long, something stupid like that, where she went through like harassment, sexual harassment, verbal harassment, stuff like that, mismanagement, and just listed all these things off. Whilst that was coming out, they did a response video to Steve. Oh, there was also a blog post which was very emotionally driven by Linus. Yeah, Linus, and basically was like, oh, you're all wrong. Brr, I wish you spoke to me first. Brr, you know, don't harass people. Brr, and then people gave them backlash for that. So then they did a PR video, and the PR video featured all the heads of the company. So Linus,
which
the new CEO.
Timeline wise, which was written, produced, and about to be uploaded before the Madison
Stuff.
Yeah.
So that came out, and it was a bit jokey, which is very typical for Linus Media Group's videos. So they thought they would keep with that, but it was also monetized. There was advertisements throughout the playback, but also built-in advertisements like lttstore.com, things like that. So people were like, you need to demonetize this video, to be honest, guys, kind of thing. So they demonetized it. Then there was another error with the video, and it was just like, oh, okay. And that's when they were like, okay, we're going to cut off for like a week, and it ended up being 9 days. They then came back, did another video, and they're like, these are all the improvements we're going to make. We've like changed things with HR, so people can like log complaints properly and it can get investigated accurately. We're getting a third-party company to investigate the Madison stuff. And basically,
they haven't really commented much on the Madison stuff,
Yeah.
other than they are doing their own internal, which is like, yeah, fuck off. But they did say that they are getting in a private outside party to investigate. Which, if that is true, that is really good, because an internal one, fuck off.
Yeah, no.
Oh yes, I investigated my own company. I found nothing wrong. Yeah, all right.
No, they did say it was going to be like a third party rather than someone or something within LMG. God, there's so much to it. But basically, one of the major complaints was the cadence at which they were releasing videos, and they actually did an interview video with all their staff about 6 or so months ago. And all of the staff were like, we don't have enough time.
Every section, he smash cut them all together. It was like, oh, shit.
So there's a Linus Tech Tips video where there's like 10 of their staff members, both writers and like cameramen, people who are like the head of writing teams, were like, yeah, I wish we had more time for videos. I wish we could do things properly, which is what has led to these mistakes. So now they're going to be spending more time on videos, doing corrections properly, making sure that they review the videos properly before uploading them. Loads of shit like that. The community seems to be rallying. They have lost a lot of subs across their channels out because of this, so they are going to have to win people back. But otherwise, those that have remained have been like, yeah, cool, we're going to buy loads of your merch. And like the WAN show, they do merch messages, and they're getting inundated with merch messages, so people are definitely rallying behind them. And I've got my hopes up, like my fingers crossed for them. I think they will turn it around and make things better. Obviously, I am interested to see what comes out of the investigation by the private HR company. So we'll see how that goes. Did you have anything to input on it, Peachy?
Yeah, if I can take out the Madison angle, because that whole thing is fucked, and basically burn the company down to the ground. But no, let's just everything else they said about all the practices and the things they want to put in place and the amount of videos they want to put up was like, okay, they're taking this seriously. They haven't missed an upload like for how many years?
Yeah,
a long ass time.
Like they literally the joke that they made in the original video was a 69 joke where they said, oh, you know, our amount of uploaded videos is 6 nines, as in 99.9999% like per day. Like they've never missed an upload a day basically until now.
Yeah, all that stuff. I'm confident that they're gonna try. I don't think it's gonna change the videos too much, because they still want to do that vibe, because it is a loose vibe, which is good. But when they're talking about actual stats, because when I'm building a PC for a friend or something, I use Gamers Nexus because they're better, but you know, those numbers are important for a lot of people who don't go to Gamers Nexus. Those are very important to get right. And everything they said, I'm like, okay, this is good. Now sort out this Madison stuff, because what the actual.
And just to add to that, I think the reason for that is obviously when you review a game, it's a very subjective thing. It's like, yes, the graphics are good, or yes, the gameplay is good. But obviously, you still may not like the game because of the story or the art style, or for whatever reason. It is all very, very subjective. Whereas when it comes to computer hardware, the details matter. How much is this going to affect my energy bill? Will this be able to run the game at 4K because I've got a 4K monitor? Will I be able to get the frames that I want? Things like that. And like, does it have any interaction issues with, or compatibility issues with other hardware or software? Things like that. So when
they place themselves as an authority as well. Like, how much have they advertised labs? It's called labs. That is saying these are numbers. These are cold, hard, factual numbers, and they're fucking those up.
And that's what kicked this off. So for those who don't know, Linus Media do review videos, and they've been transitioning to going into the more technical side of things, a bit like Gamers Nexus, so where they test everything thoroughly with industrial equipment, the same sort of equipment the manufacturers of this hardware would use to test their equipment. So they were in this video doing a tour of the labs, going, look at how accurate all our stuff is going to be. We're going to be better than Gamers Nexus and Hardware Unboxed or whatever. And then that's when Steve was like, here's 20 things you've done wrong just in the last 6 months, like kind of thing, because of their methodologies and stuff. But yeah, I can see why people are upset. Everything that Steve said was 100% accurate. Some people are not going to give a shit. They're just going to be like, oh, does it play fucking Half-Life, or does it play...
But they don't care about graphs and exact numbers, do they? They want to know good, bad. That's all they want.
Effectively, yeah.
That's what most consumers want to hear. They want to hear just those two words.
Yeah.
They also said, Linus, I think it was on Linus's section, they said that even though they're still a jokey, jovial company and they do just silly reviews and unboxings and stuff, they're going to make it more obvious that this isn't a technical review. This is just an unboxing, or, we're just having fun with this thing, which I think is important, because if they want to be that authority, those numbers need to be correct, and they need to be separate from entertainment, which they are an entertainment group, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But they're also advertising these labs. That instantly your mind goes, oh, right, people in coats, they're looking at spreadsheets and they know how Excel works. So you're inclined to trust that. Again, I now use Gamers Nexus for my numbers.
It's like Digital Foundry is to gaming that Linus Tech Tips are trying to be when it comes to tech, and Gamers Nexus is. Like, they go into the technical stuff if you want to know that information. A lot of the videos on Gamers Nexus are just hella interesting because they go to like the factories and stuff where this shit is made and get you like some of the really cool info. When there was the issue with 4090s catching fire, they got people to send them their fucked up cables so they could investigate it. They got like crime analysis labs involved and stuff like that to actually ascertain what the cause was. Well. Yes.
Wow.
The thing is, you and me, Brian, we love Gamers Nexus. We find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Your layman who just wants maybe a bit more information than just good or bad.
Yeah.
Probably watching Linus Tech Tips. They are 100%. Huge.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Pope, do you have anything to add to the nerd boy subject?
No, I don't.
That's fair play.
I have none.
I just wanted to make sure before we moved on. Should we talk about some of the recent layoffs?
Oh, mate. What is going on?
Yeah.
We'll do Violition first because I have them on screen. Peachy, do you want to take this one away while I hunt down the other one?
So Violition, they just posted out a tweet. There is a rejig going on with their holding company. I'm not sure what that company is called. Brian knows. Yeah, Violition have made some fucking fantastic. And one of my top 10 games of all time is Red Alert Gorilla.
Oh, okay.
That, which I think is THQ Nordic. I'm not sure what's happening with Violition. Seems to have been shutting down. I don't know if any of those people are going to be going over to some of the, because this company still owns a lot of other developers, like Gearbox, right? Gearbox is under their umbrella.
No, Gearbox is under Embracer. They're another one who are getting shut
Embracer,
down.
which is the one which Violition was under, right?
I think Violition might be someone else. I can't remember. What I do know is Violition are the people who made the game that everyone was looking forward to, and then it got dunked on so hard. It was the third game in a series. I forgot what it was called. But basically, it was not well received. Thingy Squad.
Oh, Saints Row.
Saints Row. Sorry, yeah, Saints Row.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last Saints Row game got dunked on very, very hard. The community did not like it, and people were like, "This is going to sink the studio." And here we are.
Yeah. They've made some games, man. Like all the Saints Row games, right?
I believe so. Yeah, the first two games.
Well, they've been at least involved in all of them. That's
as per the statement. They've been around for 30 years, so they've made some bangers, and the studio's just been basically shit can, presumably because Saints Row 3 did so bad. And that's the thing. A lot of gamers don't take that into consideration. That sometimes one bad game or a game that is well intentioned but has been received badly can sink a studio, and that's why they don't take risks like with Baldur's Gate 3 and things like that. That's part of the argument. Saints
Row was definitely made by people in suits who don't play video games.
No, well, it wasn't made by them, but it was dictated by them.
It was made by them remotely through very talented developers who know how to smash out a game
by proxy. Yeah.
By proxy.
That's why I'm keen to distinguish like the devs, the people who do the code. Like at the end of the day, a developer, if you're in software development, doing it in games is the cheapest industry to do it in. Like you get paid significantly less in game dev than you do in literally any other development of software. If you're in banking and you make finance software, you get like 3 times the salary. So when people do game dev, it's not because they're after a bit of cash. It's because they like making games. Because they've got better things they can do to make money. Like they want to make a good game, and then the
developers are trying to make the game fun by this list of absolute nonsense that is thrown down from above.
Yeah.
100%.
It's mismanagement and it's publisher pressure. Well, it's not. It's shareholder pressure, right?
Yeah. Usually.
I don't know if that's what's happened to Violition, but judging by the last game, was definitely not made by someone who wanted to play video games.
There was also BioWare. This was the one that kind of took me by surprise because they're making a new Mass Effect game.
Are they making it anymore, Brian?
Well, they're making a game because they haven't. They surely would have announced.
They're doing Dragon Age. Are they even doing that anymore? They fired their head writer who's been there since the start.
Yeah, they like hired like 50 of the staff or something.
He got.
Yeah, like he's gone. Like the lead writer's gone, and like a lot of the writing staff team. So it's really weird, and like they've got multiple BioWare games in development that are very known for being story driven, and it's like
that's what I was thinking because of Dragon Age. Like,
I think.
Oh no!
Yeah, so I'll do
they announced a delay for the new Dragon Age after a day after this was announced.
Yeah, so they said there's going to be a transition.
Oh my god!
As part of this transition, we're eliminating approximately 50 roles at BioWare. That is deeply painful and humbling to write. We are doing everything we can.
10% or something.
I wouldn't say 10%.
No, it's 20%. It was. I remember it's 20% because someone was going. They double decimated it and then went through the numbers.
Right.
It's 20% of the studio has been just fucked off.
Yeah, and it seems to be mostly the writing team as well, which is really weird because obviously you can reallocate devs into other stuff, but like the writers, does this mean AI bullshit is coming?
Oh no!
I will be very upset. That's a thing, but yeah.
Oh boy.
Also the developers of Shadow Gambit, which is a very good action stealth strat game.
That one's a bit weird because I don't
know where that came from.
Yeah, I've seen something similar happen before with the creators of Torchlight. So they made Torchlight 1, Torchlight 2, then they made a game called Hob, which I thought was great. I actually got it for free from them. It's kind of like got the same art style as the Torchlight series, but it had more of a Zelda feel, like the old school Zeldas. So you could do puzzles and stuff like that, and you could run around a platforming environment, and it was just really cute and quaint, and I had a lot of fun with it. 11 days after the release, they were like, "This is our last game, by the way. Thanks for the food. Farewell. I'll remember you." And that was it. And it was just like, wait, what? Like, it wasn't because the game wasn't well received. Like, it was clearly planned. Because who closes a studio 11 days after the studio released a game? So I don't know. Maybe.
So Mimi Games sent me a copy of Shadow Gambit. I played the demo on Steam Next Fest. I'm like, ooh, and then it was in my emails, and I'm like, yes, it's very well made. Like care, attention, like minimal bugs, which you do expect some weird things in there. Very well made, well written, coded well, like fun, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's our last game. Like for me, came out of nowhere because I'm like, oh, this is the one. This is the game which they're going to expand from, and then they're closing down. And I didn't really get much from the announcement they were closing down, but
I think it's like with Runic and Torchlight. I reckon it was planned beforehand, and it was like, well, make what money you can with this game.
They didn't say it did badly at all. There was no mention of, oh, it didn't meet expectations.
And it came out like a week or so ago. So it's not been out that long. Yeah,
these are the wrong studios to be shutting down.
100%. So yeah,
because they're making good games.
And
they can't compete with people charging fucking 60 quid for a piece of sorry, we'll talk about Starfield later.
Well,
I was actually going to say we should probably put a pin in that because I've only gotten 6 hours, well, like 6 hours across 2 playthroughs. I'm going to play more tonight and throughout the week
That's
since we
fair.
have we're doing
Of the amount
podcast
you've
next-
played, is it £10 more good than Baldur's Gate?
No, Baldur's Gate
Okay.
is absolutely better. What
I
I'm
was just
trying to
wondering.
say is I want to get a little further in before I can
That's
really
fair.
give my
I do
my
want to
opinion
play
on it because I'm just all I've done so far. I started a character. So when the game first came out or on early access, I'm very glad I didn't stream it on the 31st because I don't have a solid state in my computer right now, so I had to go out and buy one. And so because the game was playing like shit, so you need an SSD. So I played a brand new character yesterday, and I only got to just further than my first character because I have like my streaming character and my off stream.
Right.
So I got through, the tutorial section, the ship flying and the space combat, and there's went to like a pirate hideout. I think that's what it was. And I'm just at the first town, and I literally just got the achievement for completing the first quest.
Right.
So
right.
I'm really early on in the game, so it's not enough. I feel, unlike some shitty reviewers, I feel I need to play more of the game to get a proper feel of it. At the point I'm at now, I would say it's another Bethesda game.
Yeah. I've heard very similar things.
It's Skyrim in space.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like Skyrim. I like Fallout. And I can see myself getting a lot of playtime out of Starfield, especially because I love space shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you want to play it now as well, it'll cost you 80 quid.
Yeah, for the pre-order. Or you can wait until Game Pass on the 6th.
It was gifted to me for my birthday, which passed last month. So that's why I have it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have waited.
The Game Pass episode, and I just shit on the entire idea of Netflix for video games.
No Man's Skyrim. That's cute.
No Man's Sky is an incredibly finished, complete, and full game now. They probably should have done that when they launched it, though.
Yeah. Well, from what
since we had all I was going to say is just to finalize my thoughts. Since we took a break last week because of me, sorry guys, and so we're gonna make up for this is the makeup. We're gonna be doing another episode next week. I'll have a whole week playthrough, and I'll be able to formulate a proper opinion. So don't worry.
Yeah, from what I've been hearing, because I follow a lot of reviewers, because obviously I want to know the people that don't like it and why, rather than just invalidate them because I like it, and things like that. A lot of them have been saying like one or two things. They've either at first not liked it, and then they've realized that's an expectations thing, and then they go, oh, it's Fallout in space. I like Fallout. I like Fallout in space. And then they end up like falling in love with that. Whereas if you go into it expecting innovation and new stuff rather than just a shinier engine, then you're disappointed.
Aside from flying the ship and the combat in space, there's really nothing new for me yet.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to wait. Is like I just want to actually get out there and look around the entire, the more of the worlds.
Be warned, someone on Twitter was very annoyed that you can't land on a gas giant.
Oh, I can see why.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I imagine in real life you probably couldn't get near it anyway, but yeah, sure.
I will. It is kind of. I am like maybe I'm the dumb one, but I have had like a little bit of issue like adjusting to the space travel, because like my brain went, oh, I can fly myself and maybe like jump into hyperspeed or whatever, and it really wants you to do fast travel.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think they
alluded to a lot of loading screens.
But then I'll go back. But you still have to go back into the space map, and then go in and land. And that's where I keep getting it like kind of like disoriented. Where I'll be like, how the fuck do I land?
Yeah,
the first time I did it, I was like,
a lot of jarring loading screens for like innocuous things. It's like you need to go into this
room.
room.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, if you
can't all be Star Citizen
without an SSD, they're awful. It takes forever. Like when I was doing the character creator, I would go through just the presets. It would completely blank it out and then come in, and it would just like this huge blip of
Right.
time.
Is
So it,
SSD minimum requirement?
yeah,
Because
it, no, it
Baldur's
does
Gate is
say
the
it
same.
does say that, and I can confirm
Oh,
they are telling the truth.
Yeah.
It plays like garbage on an HDD. So I want to get an opportunity to play more
Mhm.
and see what else it has to offer, because so far it basically feels like Fallout, except for I was in a spaceship
Yeah, that's fair enough.
briefly.
Which does sound cool, but maybe
Mhm.
bring your prices down if you're not providing the same kind of product as people
Right.
are doing at the
Well,
same
they
price point.
to be fair, they promised a lot in
Yeah.
that trailer. So I want to see
Did they
that.
promise though? I like.
Well,
They kind of
I think
fudged
we
it. They're like, there'll be
expected-
space exploration between loading
Yeah.
screens. Hashtag.
Yeah,
or,
okay, that is
like
fair.
asterisks, yeah.
they did. So I want to see what more the game has to offer. I was looking through the skill tree. It's kind of, there looks like there's some fun stuff. I'm a chef.
A chef.
So I picked chef class because I'm tried very hard to
There's
make my
food
character
in the
look like
game?
turtles. Huh?
How
in
good
the
does the
game.
food look in game? Does it look
It-
Japanese developer good food in game or
It looks. I mean, it looks
Fallout
like
good?
astronaut, like space food, astronaut food.
Okay. All right.
Fair.
But I mean, I
Like laminated
see more-
toast.
Laminated toast. That's what
I want to
space
see
food looks
more
like.
food. Well, they keep saying like they're like, I think the description for the class I picked is that I can cook other aliens. I'm like, I want to do that. And I
Cook
made
the
Colonel
aliens.
Sanders. I made myself look as close to Colonel Sanders as I could. So I've Captain Colonel Sanders Esquire the Third as my character. It doesn't look that much like Colonel Sanders. It's more Santa Claus.
That's fair.
Colonel Santa Claus.
We'll revisit Starfield next week then when you've got a bit more
Yes,
experience
I would
with it.
appreciate that. But
Um,
so far, I am enjoying it for what it is.
That's fair. We'll quickly blast through these last few topics then. So we've
Right.
got the new PoE League, very briefly. It's great. It's added a mini game. If you like Teamfight Tactics, or if you like Dota Auto Chess or Battle Chess, whatever it's called, they've basically added that within the game. You can completely ignore it if you want. If not, it's just really fun. It's another way to acquire loot and stuff. It's going to be better than Season 2 of Diablo 4 for sure. It's more than just adding like a little specific item. It's literally adding an entire mini game. They also made Sanctum Core, which is basically a roguelite. So it's like another mini game you can go down. You're not allowed to get hit. If you get hit, you lose like this in-game life thing as opposed to your real life and stuff like that. And if you manage to get all the way to the end, you get big loot. So lots of cool stuff like that.
Nice.
Waylander had a launch. Asterix, kind of. So they did early
I didn't even
access.
hear about it until I read it in the agenda.
Yeah, so
I have to read how Brian put it in the agenda because it's just art. Waylander soft launches like a soft penis.
yes, it didn't
It's lovely,
It didn't-
poetic.
it didn't get any kind of penetration at all, basically. So they soft launched
Oh, no.
its early
Visual.
Thumb it
access.
in.
The
Push in
visual.
row.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
no,
supposed to be
don't push
free
it
to
row.
play. It's supposed to be a free to play game, but they've released an early access with like deluxe editions and all that bullshit.
I don't know any much about like I wasn't interested in the game. However, I had a first hand front seat to this guy is so upset throughout the whole
I'm
time.
not surprised
Yeah.
because
Well,
It
I
currently
mean-
has 346 reviews on Steam, and only 49% are positive.
yeah, it was even
I
worse.
just-
It was like the sixth
the amount
worst
of
rated game in the year so far.
It was nuts. And I remember like he was going on Twitch to see that there were some people when they like shut down the servers, there were still some people allowed in the servers, and it was kind of weird.
They were doing sponsored
Like,
streams and stuff like that though, so
Yeah.
I could see why. Still a bit jank.
Yeah,
But yeah, to
kind of
explain,
shitty. It's more shitty on the developer's end
yeah.
when you think about it. It's where it's like you shut down the servers for everyone paying.
Oh,
Yeah.
Brian, you mean Wayfinder?
Yeah, wait,
What did I
they couldn't
say?
find your
Oh,
way.
sorry, Wayfinder. No.
Oh, that's got
Waylander?
way more reviews.
It's
Wait,
it's an
how-
MMO light. I swear it's Waylander. It may be Wayfinder. It's basically the new game from a studio who did.
Yeah, it's,
what
God,
do you call
it's
it?
Wayfinder.
Is it Wayfinder?
Yeah, that came out 17
Sorry, Wayfinder.
August.
Oh,
So, yeah.
now it's up to mixed Wayfinder. It was mostly negative for a while.
Only 45% are positive though.
Yeah, so to,
On 14,000 reviews.
I mean,
to actually explain what happened, because we haven't actually explained that yet. So they did a soft launch.
You got to get the right game first, Brian.
Yeah, no, but I mean to get everyone on the same page. So they did a soft launch, which is paid, and during the soft launch, no one could get in the game for a week. They had a 10,000 player capacity on their servers for an MMO light. So think like Warframe. It's published by the Warframe devs, but in a studio that they've bought. So it's basically like fantasy Warframe, and only 10,000 people could play it. So the queues were like 5 hours long, and sometimes would kick you out before you actually got to.
Or you get to the end of the queue and it would just be a perpetual loading screen.
Yeah, or you get in and it kick you out for an hour. It really sucked for people
who paid for the founders packs.
Yeah,
it was nuts. The whole thing was such a mess.
Yeah, so a lot of people couldn't also play it, unfortunately. So that ended up pissing off a lot of folks because they would literally have to wait a week before they could get on the servers. If you did get on, you got kicked out for an hour. Well, from what I understand,
Warframe is free, right?
Yes.
And then in contrast, this game costs $20.
It will be free though. It's only paid for early access.
Oh, it will.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is specifically for early access.
Fair. Well, when I went to check on Steam to look at the reviews, it's still $20. So that was my understanding, was that it was what the founders pack was 150. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so you got some people who've really dumped some money into it only to not be able to play it for a week.
They didn't get their loot apparently.
Yeah, there's been some issues where the pre-order loot didn't get assigned to people and things like that. So from what we've heard, the game is okay.
Terrible launch. Yes. Jesus,
yeah, it's awful.
Is really surprising. In fact,
well, anyway, to my understanding, so I'm reading 6 months or early access. I don't know. I'm not following this game, so obviously, I only learned about it when I just saw the rage.
Well, when it comes to the servers, it's actually Digital Extremes who are taking the blame for it. So Digital Extremes are the folks who make Warframe, and they're the ones providing the servers. It's on the same servers.
Right.
And they're going, yeah, it's our bad. We're providing the servers. Don't blame the devs, kind of thing. But people are like, surely you knew more than 10,000 people were going to play a game that's coming from like the same umbrella company as Warframe, which is huge. Yeah. So yeah, it was a wee bit weird.
That's poor judgment on their part.
That is messed up.
Yeah, so hopefully it can recover from that.
What that does is it screws over the developers.
My camera just died.
You all right there, Brian?
Yeah, my camera just died. Bear with me.
Brian.
Feel free to continue talking.
I was saying it's like that. I wasn't aware that it was the server providers who screwed up, because that means it makes the developers look bad. Because like we were just saying, like you go on the Steam page and it's 45%.
And the game's getting shit bombed. Yeah.
Yeah. So like as me coming in as someone who didn't play Warframe, and someone would tell me like, hey, I've been playing Waylander, whatever the hell it is. I would if I went to Steam, it's like, dude, it's fucking mixed. What the hell?
Yeah.
And naturally,
people
are getting the blame all over the place for a bunch of games, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it really sucks for the developers. Well, I really hope they recover from this, because that's really shitty.
So we've got 3 more things to talk about. Do you have time?
3?
Yeah.
War Thunder.
Yeah, so there's War Thunder, PlayStation Portal, and Killer Bean.
There's no point talking about Killer Bean.
Okay.
It's an asset flip.
It looks sick though. It actually looks fun.
It's based off some shorts that were made like years ago as well, right?
Yeah.
It does look fun, but
everyone look up Killer Bean after the show.
Thunder.
Check it out. It's definitely worth watching that trailer, because that is a lot of fun.
So yes, there was the War Thunder. They have basically leaked military documents on forums again. Where for those who don't know, you've got like the War series games, so like War Thunder with planes, War of Tanks, or World of Tanks, whatever, battleships. All these game communities have like Discords and forums dedicated to them. And a lot of the people who are in the military play these games and are in a habit of going, you know what? This is incorrect. Look, here's the blueprints to this confidential like plane that you shouldn't know how to build, kind of thing. And they just post them on the forums. So they've done that
40% of
again.
subscribers to War Thunder are other countries led by warlords.
Yes. Basically going, so this is how we make the bomber kind of thing.
Excellent. Now I know.
Yeah.
I know their weak points.
Okay, and you know, it's so stupid why it's dropping, because they're arguing, they're going, no, this is realistic. Like, no, it's totally not realistic. And so what? Trust me, bro. And they go, boom, classified military documents.
Yeah, it's so
Like, literally.
so dumb.
It's literally just like, no, I'm being serious. I have a big just and plop it on the table.
Someone on the internet is wrong.
Kind of energy. For me back.
Sometimes they literally get bullied into it. Like they'll literally be like, I'm in the military, I know this thing, and then people on the forums are like, no, you're not. No, you don't. You're talking shit, and they get bullied, and then they go, okay, well, here's the documents. Yeah. Here's my proof. I've got receipts.
Oh my god, they're just so easily goaded.
Yeah.
To be big man, you don't know anything. It's like, yeah, let me prove it. Treason.
And it's all North Koreans typing on this forum going, yeah, really?
God, yeah. Oh my god, just see other countries just fucking trolling the developer.
Yeah.
How much do countries spend on military intelligence? And there's some fucker paying $19.99 a month and getting everything.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I have this visual of Kim Jong-un like just typing like a Redditor. Like,
could you imagine being like,
really?
Yeah, really?
Could you imagine being at the Pentagon in a war room? And you're like, okay, who's our best spy? And then someone looks over at the screen and goes, Dark Diggler 69420 and Discord's our best spy. And it's like, he's in the War Thunder forums. He's got so much info. like I don't know, something weird like that.
I might have just swallowed my lip ring from that joke.
Oh, sorry. Forgive me. Whilst
I just can't stop. This whole thing is so stupid.
Whilst Peachy recovers, there is a rumor going about that Gears of War 6 is going to go open world, which I think is
tight.
A bit weird though. Like, could you imagine?
I found it.
He's found it. He's found it. He's not got the choke on it.
That Peachy has a lip ring.
Have you never noticed it?
I got some other rings too. Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
No.
I'm so sorry.
Do not whip out the Prince Albert. But yeah, so Gears of War 6 rumored to be going open world. Kind of an odd choice. Who knows? They may pull it off, but I don't know. I feel like being in a war zone and constantly running into units in a
I feel like it's
tighter space makes sense.
It kind of works better, in like that more confined, almost claustrophobic space.
Yeah, like, are you going to be
Kinda
mounted or in a vehicle for the majority of the time? Because otherwise, if you're traversing loads of open space,
it's going to be like what they did with Halo Infinite.
Who knows? Like, it could be very empty, is my concern. But yeah,
I didn't like that.
Rumored to be open world. And then I think the last thing is... very quickly, now Phantom Liberty has been finished. 260 devs are moving from Cyberpunk to the new Polaris project at CD Projekt Red, which is the new Witcher game, or the first game in the new trilogy that they're going to do, which everyone thinks is going to be about the School of the Lynx. And
so this is the only expansion?
Yes, as far as I'm aware. They may still do downloadable content with a smaller team, though, to be fair.
Well, they're still going to seem to fix the bugs because that engine is fucking mincemeat.
Well, allegedly a lot of it will be fixed with this new free patch as part of the...
I would wonder what more they could do for DLC, with the exception of like maybe being able to live out V's experience with Jackie, like, in the prologue.
I think
give me a start without the Jackie
because there's such a hard endpoint. There's such a hard endpoint with the game.
One thing I'm really surprised they're not doing is multiplayer. They shit-canned multiplayer ages ago, but like RP, surely.
RP would be crazy on that.
Insane, especially when they're doing transmogs and stuff for clothing and stuff now. So kind of weird they're not on that bandwagon. Maybe they just haven't looked at it.
Maybe they'll consider
That's
it.
Not where their focus is it? It's a single player game.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the game works better as a single player, to be honest, because it's a lot more narrative.
Every game works better as a single player because
I
you
prefer
played MOBAs. Teammates suck, dude.
They do. They do.
Very, very true.
But I think the game thrives on being single player because it's so narrative driven.
Yeah, and that's fair. Last subject then, before we wrap up, is initially last week this was down as a leak, but then they have now since announced it. So the PlayStation Remote handheld is going to be called PlayStation Portal, not to be confused with the PSP. Rest in peace. It is going to be $200. and it turns out you can play it outside of your house on an internet connection, but it's still linked to your PlayStation 5. You can't play on the cloud service they've got there. So they have a streaming game service, and you can't play that on their handheld. So yeah, so you're basically connected.
You can't even watch
to your
YouTube on it.
Yeah, so you can.
Oh, jeez.
You can only play the games on your PlayStation, and if someone wants to use your PlayStation, you can't play at the same time because it's using the PlayStation to stream it to the handheld device. It's got a 3.5mm jack, which is nice. It doesn't have Bluetooth, which is what a lot of people are on nowadays. So
proprietary fucking wireless shit for headphones.
Yeah, so if you want to use wireless headphones, which is a lot of people nowadays, since they're no longer a thing with 3.5mm jacks are no longer a thing with phones, you have to buy the headset or the earbuds that are in the picture.
Oh,
They're like 200 quid or something ridiculous.
Yeah. So you can't
who
just
is
go.
this for? That's just what I need to know. Who? Yes.
People who don't have phones.
Yeah, well, you guys don't have phones?
The more information that comes out about it, it's just I don't even know who the hell this is for.
Yeah, it's
like
basically.
I'm no Sony fanboy, but like
it's for the part of Sony that accidentally made and ordered these screens and had nothing to do with them. I'm telling you, that is what is happening.
I believe you.
They are getting rid of stuff.
That.
Every time we see something, I'm like, that's because it's not powerful enough because you designed that like 5 years ago.
It's just, I love it. It's like, it gets worse every time.
It probably doesn't have Bluetooth because it was made in 1987 and they've had it on the shelves and like, we should shift these, Jerry. Jerry, that's not a very Japanese name, is it? Well, tough.
Yeah, I imagine there is going to be someone who is going to buy this and they're going to love it. I have no doubt there's someone who's going to be like, I can play in my bed now without disturbing the missus or some shit like that. But that's a very, very tiny amount of people. So I don't see this selling very well.
We don't have that many of them to sell.
I want to know what guy gets all giddy over playing in bed without waking the missus.
I mean, it's nice to play in bed sometimes. Like, it is nice to play in bed.
There's a time and a place for waking the missus, and then there's a time and a place for video games.
And let them sleep, and I can play.
Oh no, wait a minute! I got a Switch, which is infinitely better than that. Never mind.
Yeah, right.
And
it doesn't look so goofy.
And then,
also, my missus will play Mario Kart with me, so.
And the new Switch is coming out at some point next year, anyway. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Like Lenovo, they're doing a handheld, but they're doing like a more Steam Deck competitor thing.
Yeah, that looks cool.
So that's like a $599 or $699 US.
It seems to be a growing market for powerful handheld things. I think it started with a lot of those Chinese seller sites that people were putting stuff together. And obviously the bigger companies have picked up and gone, there is a market for this.
Yeah.
How can we force people into our walled garden, though, so they only spend money with us?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think Steam are going to have a death grip on this because of the way they've gone about it. Like, you can do basically anything on the Steam Deck. You can mod it so it actually just runs Windows or whatever. The ROG one runs Windows natively, which is going to be easier for the layman, but you can repair, you can replace parts in the Steam Deck. You don't have to go, oh, it's fucked, I have to buy a new one or pay.
And Steam are like, don't do this, but here's all the technical documentation if you want to do it, but don't do it.
Here is your right to repair if you want to do it, kind of thing, but you void your warranty, which makes sense.
So, just leak the blueprints.
Yeah, they leaked their own blueprints and actually made a guide on how to read them. Like they
but don't do it.
Yeah, they worked with iFixit, basically. So yeah. So if you're interested in that, more power to you, but I think you're insane if you're going to throw $200 on it.
Actually, personal request, if you are interested in this, please consult me and explain why, because I really want to know.
Tweet at plopfictionally on
please
Twitter,
do.
explaining
please
why.
tweet at me and explain why you want this thing, because I'm so eager to learn.
Yeah.
Was there anything else we wanted to cover before we tie up?
No.
Robocop was delayed again, but
yes, to be
expected. I think they're just putting more into it because the game before needed a bit more put into it. The Terminator one, it's great, but it needed more put into it. And the optimist, which is strange to say, I think the company's putting a bit more into Robocop because they were laughed at when they
I hope so.
They were laughed at, and they're like, okay, all right, okay. Knuckle down, and that's what they proved with their last. Are they the ones that made the Rambo game?
Terminator game.
Yeah, did they make the Rambo game before that?
I don't know. All I know is they did the Terminator.
I know,
one.
but the Terminator game is actually worth a buy. It's fucking cheap and it's really good, and it cares about the source material, which is what you want out of a Robocop game. There's new people I'm playing the Robocop game. Who's playing the Robocop game? Us who watch Robocop, right?
Yeah.
That's
And-
who got absolutely scarred by the guy getting torn apart by a 209.
And to be fair, those people kind of are like, a lot of the bad comments are usually people who aren't Robocop fans, from what I've seen. Whereas the Robocop fans are like, no, this feels like OG Robocop kind of thing. So they seem to be more happy with what's
What
coming
they
out
did
anyway.
with Terminator.
Yeah.
It was great.
I forgot to mention with the PlayStation, there was a leak that they're looking at making a new PlayStation 5, a modular one. So you can actually take the disc drive on or off. So you can buy it digital only first. And then if you want a disc drive, you can get that later, which I actually think is kind of cool. I kind of wish they did that from the beginning, because that's what I would have probably done.
Hey, Brian.
What?
Buy a fucking PC.
I already have a PC.
What's the point in consoles anymore?
There's plenty of
What's
point
the
for
point?
consoles. Most
There's
people
no
use
point
consoles
anymore.
as a media station in their living room as opposed to a computer.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't have a media station here set up. I don't have any of that. Oh no, like consoles are supposed to be plug and play, and they make them more and more complex and harder to code on, and split into different parts. And you need to upgrade through the cycle of the same console so you can play the games a bit better. Like, what is the point in consoles anymore?
They are significantly cheaper than PCs, especially the current generation. I would also argue it's actually quite
I agree
consumer
with
friendly to be able to buy one product. So like the PlayStation digital only, because you want to get involved at the front gate with all your friends, play games with them all at the same time, but that's all you can afford. And then when you go, okay, I want to be able to play discs because I'm more invested in this platform, then I can just attach the disc drive to it without having to buy a new PlayStation 5 kind of thing.
Just get a PC.
Yeah, but again, like,
All those people with just a PC, without a PC, have got a laptop.
I mean, to be
You
fair,
put those
Necessarily.
prices together, you've got a
to be
beast
fair,
of a PC.
I think it's a lot. It's it's just a lot more accessible for most people.
yeah, it is.
especially
No,
I think it's
100%
getting
is.
less
And
and less
I do
accessible.
like you having the what?
I think it's getting less accessible, like compared to the older console.
I mean, I have
generations.
my PS5 or one in the bedroom. So yeah, it is used as a media console or media center.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of nice because instead of like bringing my little handheld so I don't disturb the missus, I could just play from the console in my bedroom.
Yeah. To be fair, and I say this as someone who has to deal with non-tech people and as someone who works with people who are usually quite technically knowledgeable, there is a significant difference between how you perceive a computer and how easy it is for you to your average dad. Like you think most people have a laptop. Most people actually have a Chromebook and are not that familiar with Windows. You'd be surprised.
Chromebooks are like 800 quid.
Yeah, well, no, they're usually like 200 quid. Chromebooks are like cheap as hell. People get Chromebooks because they can't afford laptops usually. But yeah, like your dad gamers are going to find a PlayStation 5 significantly simpler to navigate. You don't have to worry about specs. It comes with
also-
it's
Dad
broad.
gamer.
To be also
So like just
kind of
your
like
average person, like the
it's
people
also
who
good
play
for like
COD.
kids too.
Yeah.
Like consoles are better for kids because because my older brother just bought one for his this is PS5. He bought a PS5 for his 10-year-old son, and realistically, he doesn't want him PC gaming, which makes sense.
And I can understand why as well, because
Why doesn't he want him PC gaming though?
because he's 10.
Right.
Because you can do a
Whatever.
lot more damage.
You could
with
do a
a
lot
PC
more with the PC.
than you can
with the
with a
PC. He
PlayStation
could
5.
go around like he could. Kids are smart these days. They
Yeah.
can figure out how to navigate the internet and everything. So it's
Uh-huh.
better. It's a lot easier to monitor a
Parental
child.
controls,
Yeah.
which you need to put on a console anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like tick box, whereas there's a lot more
I
complexity
know it's
to it.
just PC Master Race, but the point where where is the point where consoles stop becoming easy to use because you need to update them, you need to
That's-
upgrade them, you need to get different parts
That's
for
just
them.
the only argument I would give is that in a case like that where there's a young child where they might.
I think
be,
consoles are
like-
getting further and further away from, well, maybe Nintendo.
I mean,
Honestly.
the console cycle is generally about 10 years. Like, yes, a new one may come out, but you're still playing like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One games.
Games ain't running on the S or the X. I don't know which order that goes in because the naming
Yeah, but
convention makes no sense.
they're specifically next-gen games. And that's because then the S is not powerful enough, which is why Baldur's Gate 3 got the deal where they can actually have it on the S now because they're going to take out the split screen. But yeah, like speaking as someone who deals with these people every day, your average like dad gamers, the people who don't watch Twitch and just basically get games and want to plug and play kind of thing, consoles are significantly more accessible to them. I can promise you
Yeah.
that.
I don't think this, at this point, I don't think they're significantly more accessible.
I can guarantee it. I literally had someone ask me, I told this story before, like, what is Click? Some people have no idea how to use a PC. They genuinely don't. I say some, many people. Like, I have to speak to them hundreds of times a day. Like,
It's
your average
2023. I think
person-
that's a shrinking minority.
Nope. You would think that millennials grew up on computers. The latest generations grew up on phones. They have no fucking idea how computers work. You'd be surprised how, like, I'm trying to think of the right word, but like not illiterate, but like just incapable of using PCs, like younger, like Zoomers and stuff. Not incompetent. They're not familiar with it like we were, because we grew up around computers. Boomers suck at computers. Millennials, awesome at computers because we grew up and were raised with them.
Zoomers are running the digital like
from their phones. Right. From their phones.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I think consoles are getting less and less as time progresses, less and less accessible, and I don't think it's that big a leap to go to a PC at this point.
I mean,
new boomers. Nice, good show. Yeah,
that's fair play. Was there anything else, Paul?
No, I'm good.
Fair play. Let's do shout outs then.
Do it.
Oh, me?
Yes. It's always you.
Oh, me? What's up? Hi, I'm Pulp Fiction. I'm a former Instagram model turned variety streamer. I've been gone for the past month, but I am back to streaming since yesterday. And I will be on later this evening streaming some Starfield. You can find me on all my socials at Pulp Fiction, except for Twitter, now X, at Plot Fictionally. Peachy.
I'm Peachy Pixelate. You can find me at Peachy Pixelate. I'm actually on Instagram now as Peachy Pixelate Twitch because some idiot took my name. Yes, it's me. I can't get into the account. Shut up. I'm on Threads, Peachy Pixelate Twitch. Also, you should probably follow my YouTube now because something might be coming. And that's the first time I've said that. So, announcement.
Is it you? Is it you who's coming?
Well, it's my channel, so yeah.
Oh, okay. I just thought it was the way you were sat.
Brian.
Hello everyone, thank you to my co-hosts as always for being on the show with me, and thank you at home for watching. My name is Brian the Pirate. I can be found on pretty much every platform as Brian the Pirate, be it YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads, which has a website now. Thank fuck for that. So do follow me on Threads if you want to hang out.
But you can still only make an account through the app. So people in Europe get fucked, apparently.
Oh, that's annoying as fuck. But yeah, so thank you for joining us. We've had a great show. We'll be back next week. So, because this is like the replacement for last week's episode. So we'll be back next week with more gaming news, anime titties, and all sorts. Maybe we'll talk about the One Piece series if either of you end up watching it.
Oh, dude. I might watch
can make it past 5 minutes.
I
could make it past the advert for the controller for the Xbox.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, that looked awful. But yes, thank you for joining us. Farewell. We'll remember you.
Bye.